use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB and have nearly 2,500 five-star Google reviews. Their service is off the charts. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous chicken, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can forget the cookbook and spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner from Bojangles. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time. Time to stop whatever you're doing for some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. Satisfy your craving for flavor and your passion for boneless chicken with Bojangles 4-piece Supremes Dinner. 4 perfectly seasoned, Cajun-fried, whole breast tenderloin fillets, choice of fixin', a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, and Bojangles' legendary iced tea. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
At the V Foundation, V is for victory over cancer. V is for victory over giving up.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Join our team in the fight against cancer at V.org.
Every success you've had began with a great opportunity. Now there's another one. Last aid year, University of Maryland Global Campus awarded over $21 million in scholarships to qualified students, including community college students, service members, veterans, and working adults. Now is the time to move your career forward with an online and accredited skills-based education. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chef.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Workers' comp can be tricky, but my law firm will be on top of all the complicated paperwork and sneaky deadlines so that all of your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. If you've been hurt on the job, I'm on top of it. Contact us at ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. It is dangerously hot out there this afternoon. We have an extreme heat warning. In effect, our high temperature 102, but feeling more like 110 or hotter. 78 overnight tonight, and we'll repeat again tomorrow with an extreme heat warning and a high of 100 degrees, feeling like 110 or hotter. But also tomorrow, mid to late afternoon, we have a chance for severe storms. It's a level 2 risk.
Weather report brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 3 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones is up 537 points to 43,118.
Bryce in the pocket, steps up, eludes the rush, throws end zone, caught, Adam Thielen, touchdown!
He'll toss it that way to Hampton, and he is in. Touchdown, Carolina.
Bailey, shotgun, snap left hashes, QB keeper, dives forward, touchdown. Bailey is third of the night.
Cooper faces up with 5 and 4, drives Davis, spins, waiting, fades away, and hits! Game over! Series over! Sebastian!
The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly here on 99.9 The Fan on a Tuesday. How's it going, everybody? Let's just get it out of the way now. Canes have not traded for anybody since the last time we talked. More rumors. No action as of yet, at least not on the surface.
Such a tease.
I wanted to get it out of the way early, so I didn't leave you hanging. I imagine it's a bit of the what they say about ducks, right? Like calm above the surface, but below the surface, the legs are cranking away. Like I imagine that's what's going on, but all we get to see from the outside is the calm part above the surface. So we'll get that out of the way. If there is a trade, if there is the something that happens during the show, we'll break it to you. But as of right now, just news and rumors and conjecture and guessing. But also, as of right now, it's time for the Big 3 at 3. The NBA Draft is tomorrow. Will one of the Duke players go, or I shouldn't say go, stay in Carolina? The Hornets picking 4th. Con Knippel's been mocked there quite a bit. What will the Thunder do with their 2 first-round picks? If I'm not mistaken, they have 4 next year. They won the NBA championship, and they're built like a rebuilding team. Here's Bobby Marks on how the Thunder are positioned to defend their title.
When you look at Oklahoma City moving forward, all 15 players under contract from this year. The hard part is going to have to figure out what do they do with their 2 draft picks, 15 and 24, and can they fit that within their roster? They certainly, the likelihood is going to sign Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams to long-term extensions this offseason. But here's the best part, Hannah. 4 first-round picks in 2026. The rich get richer. This Oklahoma City team is built probably comparable to what we saw with that great Golden State team with Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green.
Whoa, that's a pretty good one to be compared to. Do you know what I'm a little excited about? There's a report out there from Jonathan Gavoni of ESPN. You know him on Twitter at Draft Express, that the Thunder are trying to get into the top 10. Obviously, with everybody under contract, they don't need all of their picks, which is crazy to say. They have a first rounder is like, I don't know, maybe we can draft a European and stash him over there for a couple years. But they have 4 more coming next year, so that logjam can build up. So they want to move. They have whatever it is, pick 15, pick 24, and pick 44, roughly. They want to use all 3 to move up into the top 10. That is my new position A for Kaman Malawash out of Duke, out of Duke. The 7-footer, who's a bit raw, right? Picked up the game late, developed just from game 1 to final game of the Final 4 for Duke. He developed so much, and that's just going to continue. Go to a spot like OKC. You don't need to play huge minutes. You don't need to be a big contributor unless you're ready for it. And on top of that, it's a cool atmosphere. They got a friendly vibe. He seems to build off of that as a human. So there's my desire there for him. We'll get into other desires and kind of perfect fits as the show goes along. That's number 3 in the Big 3 at 3. Number 2 is the next draft, the NHL Draft, coming up on Friday. And that's the first kind of deadline. I know it's not a deadline, but I always say deadlines get deals done. It's hilarious to me that a trade deadline comes and all these trades happen, and I'm like, you could have made that trade last week. But deadlines get deals done. If you're going to trade a pick, the first deadline is the NHL Draft on Friday, so some movement may get started there. And there is still this stranglehold of Mitch Marner over the entire league. You are either interested in signing Mitch Marner, interested in help facilitate the cap space so a different team can sign Mitch Marner, or wildly frustrated that Mitch Marner doesn't want to play for you. Like, those are the only 3 options in the league. And Elliot Friedman, who you know from many different outlets, including his 32 Thoughts podcast, talked about teams are going to want to know as soon as possible, July 1, what Mitch Marner is going to do.
It's a great idea in theory, but in practice, teams are going to want to know that I want to know fast if he's coming, because I've got to enact my plan B if he isn't. I just think there's a lot of people who are, when the time comes, they want to see what Vegas offers. Like when you start to sit down, this is the week you sit down and start figuring out, okay, who do I think is going where? Who's going here? Who's going there? And I think there's a lot of people just wondering about, is Vegas the team to beat here?
I will forever say that I am confused by the Vegas idea for Mitch Marner from Marner's standpoint. The Anaheim move maybe not Anaheim as much, but Dallas is being brought up occasionally. I don't want to go somewhere where they didn't win. They're going to add me so they can, but they have to get rid of so much other good stuff in order to afford me. It's when you can go to so many places where they can just absorb you into the payroll. Carolina and others, but you know which one we're talking about. Carolina's drafting 29th. That's their first pick in the NHL draft on Friday. We'll talk about what they could do, what they should do. What I am confident they will explore is trading back. As of right now, they don't have a second-round pick in this year's draft. I would not be surprised if that 29th overall pick turns into something that includes a second-rounder and maybe two of them. They tend to do well trading back and still finding value. That's number 2 on the Big 3 at 3. Number 1, I think I went in reverse order. Normally I go 1, 2, 3 on this. It's still new. Number 3, UNC's revenue share letter yesterday. Bubba Cunningham, the director of athletics for North Carolina, talking Tar Heels, he put out a letter explaining which teams are going to be involved in the revenue share. They have $20.5 million to spend from the school that they can give directly to athletes. They announced that they will be spending all of their allotment, but only to 4 schools. For more of the details, here's friend of the show, WRAL sports investigative reporter Brian Murphy.
We don't know the breakdown. We do know that the back pay included in the House settlement goes 75% to football, 15% to men's basketball, 5% to women's basketball, and 5% to all other sports. So if North Carolina is spending a little bit less on football, I would imagine men's basketball is going to get the lion's share of that difference, with women's basketball getting somewhere around 5% and then baseball. But we don't have exact percentages on what they're going to be distributing. We don't even know what Duke or NC State, how they're going to split up their money. I spoke with the AD at East Carolina, and he said that everyone is going to have to give to football and men's basketball because that generates the revenue. But at a school like East Carolina, they may decide to try to prop up their very good baseball program. And so it's going to be up to each individual school to decide how they spend that money.
The interesting part will be, I think, at every school is the infighting. Because every dollar that is given, now that you've announced the 4 teams that are going to be involved in the revenue share, UNC has, just talking about them as an example, every dollar that you give to football is a dollar you don't give to men's basketball, is a dollar you don't give to women's basketball. Every dollar you give to women's basketball is a dollar you don't give to baseball. And as we've learned a few times, coaches' communications on official emails are subject to freedom of information requests. So if the women's basketball coach writes a letter saying, why did baseball get so much? We deserve more. And if the baseball coach writes a letter saying, oh, does basketball need another backup shooting guard? We'll find out eventually. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan.
Whoa.
I was just going to say, there's some potentially breaking news here. Let me set this up. So we have the announcement of the Hockey Hall of Fame, who will be in this class. And we do not know, I do not know as I sit here, the results. Max has the results. Max, hit us with it. Am I happy or am I angry?
6 players inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame class of 2025. Rod Brindamore is not one of them.
I'm angry.
Duncan Keith, Zdeno Chara, Joe Thornton, Alex McGillney, and then the 2 female players, Jennifer Botterill and Brianna Decker. So Rod Brindamore, another year not inducted into the Hall of Fame, although I would say this year it's not as much of a snub given I think it was maybe the first year Chara and Keith were eligible, and they're pretty much locks, I would say. But still disappointing. Rod Brindamore, yet again, snubbed from the Hall of Fame.
The issue I have with all of this is that when it becomes, like you said, like there are certain guys, when they're first eligible, they're going to be first ballot Hall of Famers. But the thing that frustrates me is we equate, whether it's right or wrong, how long you have to wait with how deserving of a Hall of Famer you are. I still believe Rod Brindamore is going to get in. But we say things like he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. We say things like he'll get in eventually, but he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. And that is the kind of stuff that makes it so every year that passes he doesn't get in. It feels like we're saying something about his status in the Hall. And it's just messed up. It's just messed up. It's we're going to talk about this when we come back. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Rod Brindamore, again, not in the Hall of Fame. We'll talk about it next.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous chicken, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can forget the cookbook and spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner from Bojangles. It's Bo time.
There's no time like Bo time. Time to stop whatever you're doing for some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. Satisfy your craving for flavor and your passion for boneless chicken with Bojangles 4-piece Supremes dinner. 4 perfectly seasoned Cajun fried whole breast tenderloin fillets, choice of fixin', a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, and Bojangles legendary iced tea. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's Bo time.
311 live in concert. The Unity Tour 2025. June 25th, Red Hat Amphitheater. With special guests, Bad Flower and Sitting on Saturn. Celebrating 30 years of hits, plus the brand new album featuring Full Bloom. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Presented by Live Nation.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Here'th my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times? You're playing the lute.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen Report.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before the break, we had some breaking news. Max, why don't you tell everybody the details of it so I can just keep my emotions riled up over here without having to calm down and pass along details.
Right, so the 2025 Hockey Hall of Fame class was just announced, somewhat ironically enough, announced by Ron Francis. The players inducted this year, it's a maximum of 4 male players and 2 female players. Brianna Decker and Jennifer Botterill were the female players inducted. Male players, Zdeno Chara, Duncan Keith, Joe Thornton, and Alexander McGillney, meaning once again Rod Brindamore was not selected for the Hall of Fame.
So here's my issue with all of this. One, it's just an ongoing thing that Rod Brindamore should be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. That is, and I'm sure it sounds like a bit Homer-ish because the place that I sit on the network that I sit and work for, because we are partners with the Carolina Hurricanes. But the issue isn't, somebody like Thornton getting in over him, right? The issue is at some point you have to fix the mistake, right? Because with level head, you can go like, well, Thornton probably deserves getting Keith. All right, that guy, I have no problem with Rod going in over that guy. Or sorry, that guy going in over Rod. But the issue is, in the past, there's been guys where Rod was the more deserving, and they've gotten in over him. So it's like we're all justifying that they're not making the mistake of putting Rod in over someone more deserving without acknowledging that if this were a just on more deserving, then he would have already been in and we wouldn't be in this situation. Now, we're reacting to this just like you, although it's not like we haven't had these conversations before, right? It's not like we're pulling arguments fresh out of these aren't brand new. But Max brought up during the commercial break that McGillney is a guy who had been kind of waiting his time and probably deserving, and everybody was just kind of waiting for the proper time to get in there. And if they're starting to clear off those shelves, maybe that means Rod moves up a step, right? He moves up a spot in line, and maybe his turn will be next year, the year after. Okay. Like that's giving a Skittle to a hungry, someone that hasn't eaten in days. It's not enough. right? It's not enough. And the other issue that I have with this is Hall of Fames include, and you can't tell me they don't, they include the intangibles. Okay, they include things like, were you the captain on a cup team? Were you a great leader? How did the league respect you? They do, right? And that's for all Hall of Fames. They also include statistics, but if it were just a statistical deal, you would just draw some cutoff on like point shares and say everybody over 100 gets in, everybody below 100 doesn't get in, and then, you know, it's just the paint by numbers. But it's not. You include the intangibles. Did you go to a franchise that needed to be lifted up, and did you put them on your shoulders and lift them up? Did you sacrifice for others? All of that is put into the equation. And the further away you get from somebody's career, that stuff fades. Right? How many points you scored per game? That doesn't fade. That just is what it is. Although sometimes, like, adjusting for era does seem, you know, players get in 20 years after because, did you see this? He scored 1 billion trillion goals, and you don't realize that he was playing in a period of hockey where everybody scored 1 billion trillion goals. So that can get altered a little bit. But the intangible stuff, and intangible is such a cheesy word. I wish I didn't have to use it here. But the team stuff in a team sport gets overlooked the further and further away from it that you go. The further and further into the future you go, that stuff gets overlooked, and that's part of Rod Brind'Amour. That's part of it, right? His story isn't just he scored 452 goals in 1,484 games. His story isn't just that he has, 150 more total points in his career than Alex McGillney. That's not the only part of the story. Part of the story is he came to Carolina when they were just moved from the Whalers and pretty darn quickly turned them into a contender, and then pretty darn quickly helped them, captained them to a championship and held the cup. And 3 years ago, everybody recognized that better than now. And 5 years ago, everybody because now it's like, oh, he won a title with Carolina. That's a good franchise. They're there, what, like every year. They're in the mix. It's Hockey Town. When in actuality, it's like, no. Context, it is that because of him. The other part that I want to that frustrates me is the longer you wait with Rod Brind'Amour, the more it feels like he's going in as a player and a coach, even if they designate him a player, because it's like your full impact, right? It's like, turns out he was a really smart guy. Look at what he did coaching. When he doesn't need the coaching part of his career to go into the Hall of Fame. He might one day go into the Hall of Fame as a coach by himself, just as a coach, but his playing career doesn't need to be, seen through rose-colored glasses because we know what a coach he is. His playing career was good enough, is good enough, should be good enough. And it's not just his time with Carolina. We could go on and on. His time with Philly.
Oh, my goodness. I mean it's just two-time Selke winner. If you look at his playoff stats, too, the year they went to the Stanley Cup final and lost that stacked Detroit team, he had 13 goals in 19 games. And then as a 35-year-old in the Canes Stanley Cup run, he had 12 goals in 25 games. So,
and I did
a Selke winning season as well.
I did a little bit of it already, and I don't love doing this, especially on what should be like the happiest day of their career. With McGillney, where I was going, he's got 150 more points or whatever it ends up being. I don't love doing that when it comes to Hall of Fame results. I don't love doing that because it just feels mean to the, like, all right, if this person's going in, who's coming out? When we get into the Roenics, we can get into a whole, we can get into it, but the fact of the matter is he's a Hall of Famer, but he's not. And every single year, he's going to be going through this where everybody knows he should, and it doesn't happen for whatever reason. And maybe here's the lesson. Here's the lesson, right? Lessons that you can grab from other people's experience, right? Smart people learn from their own mistakes and experiences. Wise people learn from others' mistakes and experiences. Here's something we can learn from Rod Brind'Amour. Just like Pee Wee hockey, just like Little League baseball, Pop Warner football, politics in sports never goes away. Politics in sports never goes away. It might just be like every other industry. It's not what you know. It's not what you've done. It's who do you know? It's who's in those rooms vouching for you. I mean, should we do a campaign? Is that what we have to do? Do we have to do as a media entity? Is it my responsibility to go town to town, barnstorming a campaign just to get the voters wherever they are, go meet them on their home turf? It shouldn't be necessary. It shouldn't be. I very much, I love Hall of Fames because of what they do. They honor those that gave their bodies in a lot of ways, gave their time, dedicated their lives to entertaining us through the way of sports. So I love Hall of Fames for that reason. I hate Hall of Fames for the objectivity, and I hate Hall of Fames for the stubbornness at times. The great example is the College Football Hall of Fame had a rule that if you had been a head coach to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, you had to have won 60% of your games. Mike Leach revolutionized offensive football at every level of football, and he passed away, obviously. He had won 59.5% of his games. Instead of just saying, hey, everybody, we know it's obvious, this guy's a Hall of Famer, they actually had to propose and change the rules. So now guess what the threshold is? 59.5%. I hate the lack of common sense with Hall of Fames. I hate it. Rod Brindamore is a Hall of Famer. He's just not, which is such a weird thing to have to deal with. And we could go awards, we could go wins, we could go cups, we could go points. We could do it, but we've done it. We've done it the last bunch of years where we've been here once again. He's going to have his day, which does make this soften a bit. I still have no doubt that he's going to get in. He just shouldn't have to wait, and I don't like that it's perceived as he is, not in some inner circle of the Hall of Fame that he'll end up being. How many tries did it take you? Us 3 years or less are going to be over here talking. You can go over by the door. It's like, come on.
If and when he does get in, I mean, it's annoying that's taking as long as it is. I don't know how long McGillney was on the ballot. He was on it for a long time as well, and there were a lot of people campaigning for that. But I don't know how you can overlook his longevity, reliability. I mean, he debuted in 1989, was playing until 2010. Like, that's insane. And doing all that at not exactly a point per game, but he still put up over 1,100 points in nearly 1,500 games. He won 2 Selkies. He captained a team to the Stanley Cup, all while being pretty valuable in pretty much every playoff run they had. Considering all that, the leadership, the role he played in elevating the franchise to what it is now, it's disappointing to see. And you wonder about the Ron Francis thing, about him being on that committee and everything.
Politics.
It's disappointing. It's definitely disappointing.
The only thing I wish, and this is true for a lot of guys, I wish we had a bunch of the advanced analytics tracked, even simple things like time on ice and his work in the face-off circle for early in his career, because I think, obviously, with the way he coaches, he knows how to win hockey games even if you're not scoring, 3 points per game. He doesn't need 2 assists and a goal to impact the game in so many ways. And now we have ways to track that. We have ways to monitor that much more accurately than back then. He was doing it before, it was a thing. So I wish we had that. I think it would make the options much easier. But, that's why I think the narrative is so important. You have to talk to guys that played against him. I think he's the ultimate recess guy. I've long said this, that if I ever coached, specifically basketball, but if I ever coached anything, my tryouts, how they would all right, last day of tryouts, we're scrimmaging. I would play games to, we're talking basketball now, but heck, hockey would work too. We're playing games to 5. You and you're captains. Pick teams. And then they'd play to 5. All right, next, you and you're captain, 2 different guys. pick teams, play to 5. All right, you're captains. And as much as I'd be watching the games for who's playing well, I'd be watching for who is consistently picked first and second by everybody else when they're trying to win, because the rest of the players know who the good ones are, and whether they like them or not, in a tryout situation where they're trying to win, they're going to pick the better guys for their team. I have a feeling if you were to get players from his era together and said, all right, we're playing, we want to see who's the best, you're captains, Rod Brind'Amour is not the last guy sitting there going, ooh, I hope I get picked. He's getting picked right near the front behind maybe one or two other guys, depending on who else is there. So, like, that to me is as good of a show as anything of how good he is. As I've said a few times, he is a Hall of Famer. He's just not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, just not yet.
I believe one day he will.
You mentioned his face-off stats, too, and they only have it for the last 375 games of his career. But based off that, he's third all-time in face-off win percentage, and no one around him is really a notable player. Joe Nieuwendyk is a little behind him, and a few spots behind him as well.
And I assume, he played till, 40? I assume he didn't get really good at 37. And suddenly become an elite face-off
It just
guy.
wasn't tracked until 2007. And he's ahead of, by the way, Patrice Bergeron, who is typically considered one of the best two-way centers of the modern era and will definitely be, I won't say definitely, but will more than likely be a first-ballot Hall of Famer when it's his turn in a couple of years. So if you're going to put Bergeron in, you got to put in Rod.
Who knows? Could be anybody. Maybe we'll wait forever. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Shout out to Rod. One more year waiting, but I guess you're used to it at this point, as messed up as it is. We have the Dean's List coming up next. Don't go anywhere.
This is Gordon Miller from Miller Lending in Cary. Over the years, I'm often asked why we made the choice to become one of the only mortgage companies in the state to provide loans without closing costs as a primary source of funding. And my response is always the same. How did closing costs ever become a thing? Who was that first person who asked for a lower rate, heard it would cost $15,000 to save $50 a month, smiled and said, that'd be great? Recently, we're noticing a trend of large national lenders quoting low rates but with a high APR. This is the definition of what happened when that first person asked for a lower rate but ignored how much it would cost. Quotes today are a two-part process. It's not just the rate, but what are the closing costs? At Miller Lending, we simply don't believe you'll keep your loan long enough to realize additional savings. So before you throw away thousands of dollars in needless fees, pick up the phone and call Miller Lending today. 919-447-3377, or simply apply online at millerlending.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender and MLS number 250-2146.
Welcome to Take 5 Oil Change.
Hey, how long will this take?
Just 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Get out. That's super fast. Super fast like a F1 pit stop.
Sir.
Huh?
We're all done. I even topped off your fluid and checked your tires.
But I was so close to the finish line.
Get in and out fast with Take 5, the stay-in-your-car 10-minute oil change. And check out F1 the movie starring Brad Pitt, only in theaters June 27th. Rated PG-13.
What sounds like a fun weekend?
Let's rent e-bikes and have a picnic.
What does not sound like a fun weekend?
We need to fix the gutters. Let's make 6 trips to the hardware store and still end up with leaky spots.
Preserve your weekend, your home, and investment, and call Preserve Services instead. Our Preserve team excels in interior and exterior painting and home repairs. We're your one-stop shop in the Triangle for jobs you need done, but don't want to tackle. And get this, you don't pay a penny until the job's done. Schedule today at PreserveServices.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED, because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds, through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs, with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More, the soul
much waiting for you. All kinds of beers and thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
With curbside pickup and delivery available, you'll always find what you love, only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I'm going to do my best to move on from Rod Brindamore not being a Hall of Famer. Being a Hall of Famer, but not being in the Hall of Fame. 6 new names going in. He's not one of them this year. But we'll move on. We're not heroes. We're just working hard here. We'll do our best. And to put a little positive spin on things, let's go ahead and fire up the Dean's List. Class is in session, where we highlight those that deserve a little extra praise, a few extra accolades in the college sports world. I'll get it started. Queen's University of Charlotte. That's right. According to the Field of 68, the NCAA has approved Queen's University transition from D2 to D1 early, and they will be eligible for the NCAA championships across all sports this upcoming 2025-2026 season. Another one here in the mecca of college sports, the epicenter of it all, the state of North Carolina. It is 100% one of those deals where you just, like, if you've ever sat there, it's a good, like, just guys naming dudes. If you just sat there and, like, name all the college sports teams in the state of North Carolina, you get way further than you think. Even though you know them all, you just don't say them often in unison or in a list form. Queen's University of Charlotte, now part of it, Division I. They were already part of it, but now Division I, which I believe opens them up for more NIL, revenue share, all that kind of stuff, which is, I assume, why they're approving it early. But still, credit to them. I know that's a lot of paperwork, a lot of applying and making sure your facilities and everything else are in the proper form. So congratulations to them. Max, would you have a Dean's Lister?
I do. So my Dean's List, I'm going to go with Thomas Castellanos, Florida State's new transfer quarterback by way of Boston College. He was talking with On3's Pete Nakos.
Okay.
And he is talking all the smack heading into this season. Got asked about playing Alabama week 1. He said, they don't have Nick Saban to save them. I just don't see them stopping me. And then later on, when he was talking about playing in the ACC this year and how he thought they might do over there at Florida State, he said, I feel like I tore the ACC up by my darn self. He didn't say darn, but by my darn self for the last 2 years, and now I'm with a squad. I hope people don't think that Florida State is going to be the same team it was last year because we have weapons. People can't just sit back in zone coverage and watch me. So I'll give him Dean's up just for having all the confidence in the world, coming from BC down to Florida State and thinking he's going to tear it up. And they're playing Bama week 1, by the way. It is at home, but I mean he is welcoming all the smoke. So I just got to tip my cap. He's willing to say all that. I mean that's
all right.
All the bulletin board material in the world for Bama, and I don't want to. If that's me, I don't want to stoke those flames. But hey, I mean, he's playing D1 QB and I'm not. So
he was solid at BC. I remember good games. I remember rough games. I also, and maybe I'm giving him too much credit, I think Bill O'Brien knows what good quarterback play looks like, and he lets you leave. This is a guy that he worked with Brady. He worked with Deshaun Watson when he was a good quarterback. He made Christian Hackenberg into a second-round pick. I don't know. It just seems like Castellanos is out over his skis a bit. But credit to him, I guess. Like you said, confidence. If you don't believe in you, who will? Next on the Dean's List, NC State baseball. State baseball landed a commitment from Duke transfer pitcher Collins Black. 3 years of eligibility left. The Cary, North Carolina native struck out 18 in just 9 1/3 innings of work this spring. we may talk about it later in the show. The crisscrossing across the triangle in the transfer portal from Duke to State to UNC to State to Duke to UNC in whatever orders you want to put them. It's becoming like we're watching a tennis match here. Just do-doop, 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 do-doop. We'll see if it continues, but goodness gracious. But it has to feel good, right? When somebody leaves across town, comes to your town, got to feel good. And lastly here, this is the Dean's List, and this is going to be hard, maybe not. I'm putting on the Dean's List college coaches that trust their own evaluation, and here's why. I started looking into the 2026 recruiting class rankings, seeing if there was something noticeable that we could talk about, that we should highlight, something going on with one of the schools we cover. And what I learned is, ain't nobody know nothing about nothing. I know it's not good grammar, but got to the point where I brought up ESPN's top 300, and I brought up 247's top 250. So actually, I only looked at the top 250 of ESPN. So I did both top 250s. These are the two, along with whatever rivals. They're like the industry standard in recruiting rankings. And they could not be more different. Florida State in the top 250 on 247 Sports Rankings for the 2026 class had commitments from 2. Clemson had 8. Florida State on ESPN had 6. Both top 250, Clemson had 8. There was a player for Cal. I was surprised, right? Because I looked at 247 first. His name is Tommy Toffee. He's an interior offensive lineman committed to Cal. He was the 3rd highest ranked ACC recruit on 247. And I went, whoa, Cal. Higher than UNC with Belichick. Higher than, I think it was even like Miami. Matter of fact, I can tell you. They were, not high. They were higher than Florida State. Higher than everybody. Except for Miami and Clemson. Wow. Then I went over to ESPN. He's the 8th highest ranked ACC recruit, and Florida State has 4 players ranked higher than him on that list. It makes no sense. So basically, I was looking for something to talk about as far as like, ooh, look at this team that's recruiting well, and all I learned is we don't know who's recruiting well because they don't know who's recruiting well. So schools, I know they all subscribe to these services. You got to put the work in. You got to watch the film. You got to make your decisions. And if you're doing that, you're way ahead of the pack. Because if you're just chasing stars, meaning like 3 stars, 4 stars, which ones do you choose? I'm chasing ESPN 4 stars. I'm chasing 247 5 stars. I'm chasing Rivals 3 stars. It's all just the same player, by the way. They're just ranked differently on all of them. That's crazy. So I learned nothing other than to pass that along to you and say, hopefully the coaches that you trust themselves. Dean's List dismissed. There it is. The NHL Draft. It's coming up on Friday. The Canes have the 29th pick. They have 6 picks overall. What should they do with them? I'll tell you next.
Discover the thrill of precision and elegance with Omega. From the depths of the ocean to the heights of space, Omega's Seamaster and Speedmaster collections are crafted for those who dare to explore. With a heritage rooted in innovation and a timeless style inspired by sports, space, and cinematic legends, Omega is made for every adventure. Find your perfect watch at Bailey's Fine Jewelry, voted best jeweler. Learn more at baileybox.com.
Did you catch Luisito's header?
Yeah, I just recorded it on my new Samsung A36 5G phone I got for free at Total Wireless.
Oh, I'm actually live streaming the whole match with my new Samsung Tab A9 that I also got free at Total Wireless.
I got that tablet too.
And I got that phone too. We both got both.
Go!
Switch to Total Wireless and get both the Samsung A36 5G and the Samsung Tab A9 for free. For a limited time while supplies last, valid in store. Requires new phone activation on the Total 5G Unlimited plan or higher external port and ID verification and new activation on the Total 5G Unlimited 6-month tablet plan. Restrictions apply.
Down on credit cards? Struggling with high interest debt? You can pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB and have nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. Their service is off the charts. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Will you make the right call? Time's running out, pressure's on, and you need your roof replaced. Hi, I'm Holly from RoofWorks. It's 4th and goal, and the decision's in your hands. The competition can't stop you. You're about to score the game winner. We've trained for years for this moment to raise the roof for you. So avoid the noise and put us in the game. Call RoofWorks today or visit us online at roofworks.com. That's roof, WERKS.com.
When you switch to Progressive, you could save bundling your home and auto. Then you could put that money towards some of the surprisingly more expensive things in life.
Attention passengers, we've reached 10,000 feet and internet is now available for purchase.
I just paid hundreds for this flight, and you can't even throw in internet? I'll just take the free pretzels.
Sorry, but I do have snack boxes for sale.
I'm just gonna sleep.
In that case, we are selling pillows and blankets as well.
I'll just breathe. That's free, right?
Life costs a lot, so bundle and you could save with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. For those of you that don't know, Max, our producer, is this might be true, like the world's youngest Michael McDonald superfan. If I hear Yamo be there one more time, I'm a Yamo, never mind. By the way, did you see the New York Times is doing, they're asking for all the like readers, you can go online, to fill out your ballot of the 10 best movies since 2000, like of this century, the first quarter century.
Yeah, I saw a little something about that.
Everyone's posting their ballots. I am somebody that will overthink that forever. Now I'm just going to make a list of 50 and I'm going to carve it down. It's going to be a whole thing.
Did you mention that because a 40-year-old virgin is in your short list? Or?
I mean, it's a long list. We're not anywhere near a short list.
In your long list?
But I do think like there needs to be a Steve Carell movie in there because I'm thinking like there needs to be Leo, there needs to be Tom Hanks, needs to be Denzel, needs to be Will Smith, needs to be, probably a Sandra Bullock if you can work one in there. Julia Roberts maybe a little bit older or a little bit more 90s. There's some tough ones.
So you're more concerned making sure all the prominent players get their flowers in that ballot rather than just picking the 10 best films by themselves.
I don't think you can have an assortment of the 10 best films without their representation. That's what I'm getting at.
How similar is this to the Hall of Fame methodology? Are they thinking, well, he was on a good team, but
if I can sneak in like a Catch Me If You Can, and boom, there you go, Leo and Tom Hanks checked off.
I'll co-sign that one.
I'm letting it rock. And then there's also like you don't want to have a real chalky bracket. If you're filling that out, you want to have a few that are like your little pet projects, little passion projects.
You got to let everyone know that you have a more refined taste than them,
or less refined. I'm fine with throwing the guilty pleasure on there. It doesn't all have to be Oscar winners. So anyway, maybe I'll throw mine out on social media. Maybe I won't if I'm too embarrassed by it. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. The NHL Draft is Friday, Draft Day. Kevin Costner. It's football draft movie, but a great guilty pleasure. Awful movie. Every time it's on, I watch it. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. NHL Draft NHL Draft, now I got to get it locked back in, is Friday. Canes have 6 picks. I have them right here for you. I'll read them in a second, but we're obviously going to decide what they should do here. Round 1, 29th overall. Then they don't have a pick till 87th overall in the 3rd round. They have a 4th rounder, 125, a 6th rounder, 2 6th rounders actually, 183 and 189, and then a 7th rounder, 221. So the 2 6th and the 7th, you're throwing darts at best. If you can maneuver around to find somebody who you have a hunch on, go for it. But
although if any team has better acumen at snagging a late round
Throwing
pick
darts.
like a Jacob Slavin. I mean, look no further than the Canes.
Sometimes I do wonder, even if like you truth serumed them.
It's like, oh, we had no idea.
I don't know. We kind of he played the right position and he was right height. We just kind of rolled with it. They'll never say that, but I think that happens a lot more than you think. I love hearing the stories, 10 years after a draft when a fourth rounder becomes all-star and there's some scout like, I stood on the table for him. I'm like, then you're a lunatic. You stood on the table for a guy that every team had passed on 3 and 4 times. I think you probably went, I don't know, I like him. I think he's a good chance in the 4th. But in your history, it's like a fishing story, right? Fish was like, 4 pounds. 10 years from now, Moby Dick, right? I fought with it for 8 hours before we got it in the boat. I think usually those late round picks, if anyone ever tries to claim like, I knew Tom Brady was a Hall of Famer when we drafted him in the 6th. No, you didn't. You would draft him in the 5th because you didn't want to give anyone the chance to take him in the 6th.
Well, maybe if you'd asked the lady that called in yesterday and said she was she
Neighbors.
knew Tom Brady, they were neighbors.
Said she used to party with Tom. Said he didn't party much. He was a good kid, but she used to party at the neighbor's house with Tom Brady. The draft with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I love, of the drafts, the NBA has the most immediate impact, right? You can draft one guy, change everything. The NFL draft has the most pomp and circumstance, right? They have 300,000 people there to watch guys walk across stage. I think my favorite drafts, if I were a scout, would be the NHL and MLB. Because I don't want to say they're the easiest to prepare for, but they're the most straightforward to prepare for. You are going with every pick, if I were the GM or the owner, best player available. I'll be darned if I'm making position-specific decisions with draft picks in a sport where guys don't always make it to the pros. Right? Guys don't even always advance to the NHL level. So, if you're picking like top 5 and you think these guys are ready to plug and play, if you have, Bedard didn't take a long time in the AHL, get what I'm saying? If you have one of those, sure, then that's a different beast. But for 99% of these picks, best player available. We are going to talk about it. We have talked about it. We are going to continue to talk about it. The Canes need centers. They do. If you're sitting there at the 29th pick and you have 3 defensemen and a winger as your 4 best players on the board and number 5 is a center, I will forbid you from taking that center. It is hard enough in the NHL to just draft good players. So if you have the whatever increases your opportunity of drafting a future NHL contributor, you do that. And then if, 2-3 years from now, they're ready to get the call up, a year from now, whenever it is, depending on how fast it is, if they're not at a position of need, that's when you can turn them into a position of need, if that makes any sense. I'll put it another way. In Major League Baseball and the NHL, aside from, I'd say, maybe the top 3 or 4 picks on any given draft, you're drafting assets as much as you're drafting players, right? I've seen, what is this guy, Collins. I've seen this guy, like all of these players that are being mocked to the Canes at 29. Great. Okay. Do you know it's really frustrating to me when you see like a team win the World Series or a team win the Stanley Cup and you see a fan base get really mad because they drafted the player that ended up being a star? Oh, we drafted him. We let him go. And I'm like, you traded him the moment he hit 300 in rookie ball as part of a package to get a platoon first baseman, and they did all the work to develop him. Right? You just drafted him because he had some traits, he had some skills. Maybe, you talked to a coach that you trusted that said he had something possible there. You're just drafting assets. Once they get to the NHL, they're players. Right? Think of it like, I don't care if you have, and I know goalies aren't drafted super high very often. Like, I don't care if you have a 25-year-old Vezina winner. If you have a super high pick, high rating on a goalie, you draft him. Hopefully, he plays lights out in the AHL, and you trade him for whatever position you do need. Or in a spot month where your starter gets hurt, he comes up and he doesn't give up any goals, and boom, now you have one of the most attractive pieces on the entire trade market. Right? The cliches are cliches for a reason. You can't go broke making a profit. If with the 29th pick, they draft a player who's worth the 27th pick, that's a good pick. I don't care the position. I don't care. That it's part of the reason why I like that the Canes have such an analytic heavy presence, because hey, we don't care if they're small, we don't care if they're right-handed, left-handed. We take the best players in the draft, particularly the ones that we have deemed their flaw that has allowed them to fall to the bottom of the first round doesn't matter. Then you make that draft pick, you pick the player, and you deal with it as it gains value. Right? Bradley Nadeau might never play for the Canes. Bradley Nadeau was a first-round pick out of Maine. It was a very quintessential Canes pick in that he's a smaller guy, he's a forward, but the analytics liked him, and they took him, back half of the first round. Then continued his college career, went to the AHL, made the All-Prospects team. That's a good pick. He might never play for the Canes. If this draft season that we're about to go into, leading up to the draft and then leading into free agency, if this offseason of movement happens the way that I think it will, there might even be a good chance that Bradley Nadeau never plays for the Canes. Do you think it matters if they drafted a winger or a defenseman when it's a player that's never going to play for them? No, it matters that you drafted the best player that's worth the most when you get to this point. And then obviously, if you draft a third rounder and it turns into Alexander Nikishin, and he's for multiple seasons considered to be the best defenseman not in the NHL playing over in Russia in the KHL, you make room for him on your lineup. Right? You don't re-sign Orlov because Nikishin needs a place to play. The great players, it's crazy how coaches find a way to get them in the lineup if they're good enough. Draft best player available. So you might have a type as far as like what your analytics like. Like I said, Canes are notorious or infamous, whatever you want to say, for not minding drafting smaller players. That can be like your philosophy. But just don't go into a draft in the NHL or Major League Baseball with we need a fill-in-the-blank position. You do that in free agency. You do that with trades. In the draft, best player available. BPA. And that's not always true in the NFL, and it's darn sure not always true in the NBA. Right? If you have 3 All-NBA guards, you don't go drafting the point guard. You get a big guy if that's what you need, or you need shooting, whatever, because they can come in and have immediate impact. In the NFL, if you're drafting near the top, better draft a quarterback. If you're in the top 2-3, because, you hope not to be up there, and a lot of times that's the only place you can get a quarterback of that value without overpaying. In the NHL, again, excluding maybe the top 2 or 3 picks, if there are those generational guys that you draft on like a Monday and you feel comfortable playing on a Tuesday. Aside from those, or you draft on a Friday and you feel comfortable playing in an NHL game on a Monday. Aside from those guys, best player available. Draft is Friday, by the way. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Football at 4 is coming up next. With great money comes great responsibility. I expect Chuba Hubbard to get the ball done. Next.
Hey, friends, Paul Ihander from 99.9 The Fan for Clayton Homes. And as you know, here in North Carolina, summer's heat up, and so are those deals at the Clayton Homes Sign and Save event. Right now, you can save up to $5,000 instantly on a brand new home. That's $2,500 off a single section or $5,000 off a multi-section home. And you know these homes are built tough in state-of-the-art facilities that protect them during construction. And you know every home is loaded with Energy Smart features, giving you comfort, efficiency, and long-term savings. And with tons of floor plans and fully furnished models, it's easy to find your perfect match. Visit your local Clayton Homes or Oakwood Homes or check out limited time offers now at manufacturedhomeoffers.com. But don't wait. The Clayton Homes Sign and Save event ends August 31st. Terms and conditions for the Sign and Save sales event at manufacturedhomeoffers.com. Available only at participating Clayton Homes family of brands retailers through 8/31. Amount of savings may be limited. Ask for details. May not be available with certain financing. Lender restrictions apply.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in North Carolina. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. T&Cs apply. Available in app only.
Experience the excitement and wonder of Busch Gardens Williamsburg and Water Country, USA. Enjoy award-winning entertainment and world-class thrills at the world's most beautiful theme park. Like the all-new Big Bad Wolf, The Wolf's Revenge, now open. And splash into endless adventure at Virginia's largest water park, featuring the all-new High Tide Harbor, now open. 2 parks, twice the fun. Save up to 50% on tickets, fun cards, and memberships during our 4th of July sale. Hurry, offer ends soon. Restrictions apply.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Getting hurt in a car wreck comes with all kinds of stress and frustration. But when you call me, I'll be on top of all of it. So all you need to worry about is getting better. If you've been injured in a car wreck, I'm on top of it. Contact us at ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. It is dangerously hot out there this afternoon. We have an extreme heat warning. In effect, our high temperature 102, but feeling more like 110 or hotter. 78 overnight tonight, and we'll repeat again tomorrow with an extreme heat warning and a high of 100 degrees, feeling like 110 or hotter. But also tomorrow, mid to late afternoon, we have a chance for severe storms. It's a level 2 risk.
Weather report brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 4 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones up 522 points to 43,110.
Let's move the chains. Time for football at 4.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Chuba Hubbard, in the middle of the season last year, was right around their Germany game for the Carolina Panthers. Signed a 4-year, $33 million contract. At the time, and right, the good part of having a show like this is when you say something and you want to be able to prove it, you have receipts. Okay, I like to call them receipts. Accountability, right? If you make a prediction, you can always go back and find the exact clip. You can find it on our YouTube live stream, which, by the way, subscribe, follow, 99.9 The Fan, search for it on YouTube. We'd love to have you. But also we have the podcast. We have so many different ways where I can go back and prove, see, I said it. Right? So if there's ever a player that's underrated, I felt very much, I'll tell you this, I felt very much this way with Isaiah Evans on Duke. Right, when he was did not play coaches' decisions, and when he was getting 4 minutes at the end of blowouts, and I was going, I love the way this guy plays. He was on the Dean's List a whole bunch of times, and then eventually, when he was entered into the NBA draft, he was being mocked into like the bottom half of the first round, and I'm going, see, I was there, and I could go prove it. The other side is sometimes when you react emotionally, right? The flip side of the coin is you can't exactly run from it, right? I can't sit here and go, I didn't say that, because any of you could do the same thing I can do, and then you go back on YouTube, go back on the podcast, find it, and go right there. So Chuba Hubbard signed this contract for 4 years and $33 million. I did not like it. Now, I'm not going back on that. I don't believe you pay running backs, and I darn sure don't believe you pay running backs that aren't the 3 or 4 aliens walking this earth that are just special at it. Christian McCaffrey, I think, was one of those. But his durability even raises questions. Like the Derrick Henrys of the world, if you need an example. The Frank Gores, the guys that they're different, they're good for a long time. I think you pay those running backs. I don't think you pay the Chuba Hubbards. And I said that with more panache, okay? There's a little bit extra stank on it. And looking back, I've talked myself not into liking the deal, but I've talked myself into, and talked myself into is the wrong word. I've come around to the deal being one that they can take advantage of in a specific way. Here is the genius of the Chuba Hubbard contract that I failed to see at that time, if there is one. They can get out of it after this season with just $4.5 million in dead cap. And his cap hit this year, although high, is just the 17th highest in the NFL as far as running backs go. Here's why. Here's where I think the genius is, and it's not. By the way, like Chuba Hubbard's agent is going to hate everything I'm going to say right now, because I think Chuba Hubbard is a fan favorite. I think he does things the right way. I think Dave Canales is a big fan. Right? He just came out and said if possible he wants to play for Canada in the Olympics in flag football because he just appears to be a guy that loves competition, loves football. I think there's a lot of good there. 17th highest cap hit this year. Of the running backs counting more against the cap this year than he will, all of them have multiple 1,000-yard seasons under their belt. They've proven durability. They've proven consistency. With multiple 1,000-yard seasons, he only has one, other than these 4 names. So he's 17th, 16 names in front of him, 12 of them multiple 1,000-yard seasons, and these 4. Alvin Kamara. Do you know Alvin Kamara's never had a 1,000-yard season rushing the football? It's absurd. But he does have 7 seasons of at least 1,360 in rushing plus receiving. So that's, I don't have to justify Alvin Kamara being good. Bears DeAndre Swift, that's just a bad contract. Don't love that one. Only has 1,000-yard season with the Eagles. The Raiders Ashton Genty, he hasn't had the opportunity. Barring injury, I would assume he's going to have 1,000 yards this year. And then the Falcons Bijan Robinson, who only has 1,000-yard season, but his rookie year he did have 976. And then 487 yards receiving. So he's up around 1,500 total yards as his lowest. This past year, he's up around 1,900 yards in total yards. I say all that to say this. Chuba Hubbard has some tread on the tire. I don't think he's as good as a lot of guys above him on the list. I don't think he's as proven as a lot of the guys above him on the list. I don't know if he's worth the money as a lot of guys higher than him on the list. But knowing you can get out of the contract after 1 year if you want to with minimal dead money, I am in favor of this. Chuba Hubbard to the right side for 5 yards. Chuba Hubbard to the left side for 7 yards. Chuba Hubbard to the right side for 3 yards. Chuba Hubbard to the left side for 7 yards. Chuba Hubbard to the right side for 5 yards. Eventually, Bryce Young may pass, but instead, Chuba Hubbard toss wide. He goes out of bounds for 7 yards. Chuba Hubbard, what was his longest rush last year? 38 yards, something like that. He's not a big play guy. He gets what's there, and you can continue to give him the ball a ton because you know if things go haywire, it's not going to cost you long term. Rico Dowdle, to me, coming in at like $2.5 million in cap hit, he's an insurance option. If Chuba Hubbard gets hurt, Rico Dowdle steps into that role and can do a lot of the same things. I don't want him to be a shared running back. I don't want him to get half the carries or 40% of the carries. Travis Etienne's little brother, Trevor Etienne, 4th-round pick. Maybe a pass-catching option if he proves that he can pass block at an NFL level. I don't want him getting any running back by committee. I want this to be Chuba Hubbard, Chuba Hubbard, Chuba Hubbard. Follow the money. If he's going to cost that much against the cap, and if he is going to make that much as far as dollars and cents just straight in cash this year, then you have to get 1,300 yards out of him. By heck or high water. Because the other thing that you notice about the best of the best, and this is kind of what spurred this whole conversation, is Saquon Barkley's rushing total. He got like 22% of his rushing yards on like 8 carries. Because he had long touchdown runs, 60, 70, right? And that just, it's such a huge impact on the game. You're not going to get that from Chuba Hubbard. So you need to give him the ball enough that instead of him giving you a 60-yarder, he can give you 8 carries that add up to 60 yards. And the reason why I say his agent and everybody won't be excited about that is like this inherently shortens his career. Because the other thing you see with players like Saquon is Saquon had 400 carries last year when you include the postseason. And the season after you have 400 carries, not good in the last 15 years, 20 years. Guys tend to not play many games after they have that many carries. They tend to not be as good after they have that many carries. Getting the ball a ton shortens your shelf life. So in a weird way, the thing I like best about the Chuba Hubbard contract is it doesn't have to hurt you that long. I'll bring in a different, it's actually literally just happened. So Dennis Cox was sitting in and hosting the Adam Gold Show. So when normally we trade studios during that commercial break, I have a little chat with Adam Gold. This time it was a little chat with Dennis. And he was talking about, Tomas Hertl, okay, being a center option for the Carolina Hurricanes by way of a trade. And then it became a whole, Max and I had the debate. Max, I, and Paul Ihander, who hosts Next Up, had the debate. And then Dennis and I were talking about it. Dennis not in favor of Hertl, but he was in favor of Carlson from the same team, if you can pull that off, from Vegas, a different center. And his justification was he's only under contract for 2 years rather than 4 or 5 or whatever Hertl is. And my response was, the best thing you can say about somebody is if it goes absolutely terrible, he'll only hurt us for 2 years instead of 4. I'm not sure I want to be involved with any of them. But the fact of the matter is that is a point to consider, right? Term, where are their outs? In the NHL, there really aren't outs, right? It's not like, hey, cap hit drops a ton or dead cap goes down 2 years. They just take the full value of the contract, divide it up by years, and that's what it counts. In the NFL, there are these outs, right, where it's like I signed a 5-year deal. There's an out for the team after 2 years where they can get out of it with a reasonable dead cap hit. So really, it's a 2-year deal, and then beyond that, I'm only guaranteed $3 million, and I got to be on the roster to get the rest. The best part of the Chuba deal is it's a running back deal that has escape hatches. And I don't like that for Chuba. By all accounts, like I said, sounds like a great dude. Energy guy, culture guy, loves the game, the player that you want to coach, the player you want to play with. But that doesn't change the fact that he is a running back. And if you want to get really morbid's the wrong word, but morbid-ish, do you know what I think is the best way to handle the running back position? You draft one in the second round every other year. Late second if you can, early third, every other year, and you run them into the ground on their rookie contracts. And then if they have 4,000-yard seasons on their rookie contract, congratulations, somebody else will pay you a lot of money. We have 2 other top 3-round picks on the depth chart, and they're rolling up right behind you, and we're just never going to pay one over the age of 26.
I mean, that's where asset management is going in the NFL these days. If you can get that value from a rookie and then, they're pretty much assuredly going to break down after a few years, why not just kind of dedicate that position to being like a solid draft pick, and then you can rely on a rookie. If it doesn't work out, then, there are a couple solid veterans out there that you could go after, but you could always just draft another one. Then you can cut ties.
And if you desperately want to stick around and we do think you still have something in the tank, like I believe it was for Chuba Hubbard, then yeah, we'll give you a deal. But it's however we word the terms, it's going to be a 1-year deal. It's going to be a 1-year deal, and we'll work the cap however it fits. But I'm not committing to a guy on a second contract for 4 years. 4 years, $33 million, way too much for a running back. When it turns out that it's 1 year, $10 million, I still don't love it. But if you spread the cap hits to 6 years this year, 4 years, or $6 million this year, $4 million next year, we can start having those conversations. But just know that if I'm paying you big, top 20 running back money, you're getting top 20 running back touches, which may shorten your career in the long run. I want Chuba Hubbard to get the ball first drive of the game 5 times most weeks. because there's your tone setter, right? I want to score on the first drive every single time we're out there to give my defense some cushion, let everybody know how it's going to be. So you're getting 5 touches. You're getting 1 screen, 4 carries if we're picking up first downs, first drive every game. And the rest is, depending on how it goes. Got to follow the dollars, and if we're giving running backs money, we're giving them the ball. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I didn't do great, but I did hit at least one ladder challenge pick yesterday. We'll see if it was enough to beat Max. Coming up next.
Canes fans, your team will be turned upside down.
Said upside down, you're turning me. You're giving love instinctively. Round and round, you're turning me.
Listen all week for our coverage of the Canes free agent frenzy. Instant reaction to all the Canes additions and moves, and the latest signings from across the NHL. It's the Canes free agent frenzy on 99.9 The Fan. Driven by John Heister Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Lillington. Get off your keister and get to Heister.
A pepperoni pizza for the table. May I suggest trying it with our Pepsi Zero Sugar? It has just the right amount of sweetness to complement all that cheesy, saucy goodness. Simply divine.
Pepsi Zero Sugar? You've really outdone yourself this time.
Pizza deserves Pepsi.
Handy Hugo's has a refreshing deal. 2 1-liter Pepsis for just $3. Quench your thirst at Handy Hugo's today.
Bank of America is the nation's leading business lender, and we're ready to help with your next goal here in the Triangle. That's why we have over 3,700 local business specialists across the country. Because with the right team, your business and community prosper. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com/local business. Bank of America, official bank of FIFA Club World Cup 2025. Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
Are you an annoying coworker? Sending emails when everyone else is sleeping? Do they ask, how do you sleep at night? Then you should go to Mattress Firm. They have knowledgeable sleep experts that can help you find a better bed, like a Tempur-Pedic. It has technology to keep you cool at night, meaning anyone, even people like you, can sleep. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. All kinds of beers and thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low. It just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
With curbside pickup and delivery available, you'll always find what you love, only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I'm torn. I'm just this is on ESPN on the TV. That's right here in studio. So before we get to the ladder challenge, just let you into an internal battle that I fight. Tight End University, TEU, thing put on by Greg Olson, obvious Carolina Panthers legend. Travis Kelce, George Kittle, where they get tight ends from all across the NFL, maybe even some college guys, but they throw a whole event. There's parties every night. There's concerts. It's sponsored, but then during the day, they get out on the field. They get a workout in. They watch film together. They pass along techniques. I am like two different people on this, because part of me is like, this is the greatest thing in the world. It's so cool. I'm so jealous. Why don't other, you always hear like receivers saying like, we should do it too, but they just don't. And I'm like, it's so great. But then part of me is also, for Greg Olson, it makes sense, right? He's out of the league. I don't know. Does George Kittle want to pass along all his tips and tricks to like the guys that are going to be going up against his defense? So I guess I'm like half LeBron, half Larry Bird in this scenario where, LeBron's like, we're all basketball players. We need to do what's best for the league and the players. And Larry Bird's like, if my opponent fell down, I'd kick him rather than help him up. I'm a little bit of both, but I enjoy watching it. But then like every 20 minutes, of thinking about it, like of watching or 20 minutes, every 2 minutes of watching like the Sports Center updates on it, I go, why is Travis Kelce telling that to a guy that plays for the Raiders? This doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm stuck. So maybe I'm, there's not an easy answer for everything. Life is in the middle. Shades of gray. Let's go ahead and fight it out in the ladder challenge, shall we? Fire up some music. Here we go. With the music. There it is.
Sorry, I was hesitant to pull it up just because I'm pretty sure all the picks I made in the ladder challenge last week, I'm pretty sure I lost every single one.
All of them. All right. That would be a nice win for me.
You beat me last time because ahead of Game 6 of the NBA Finals, you had Nemhard 2+ 3-pointers.
Yep.
That one hit. Whatever 3 picks I had that day, they all lost. So,
and I'll just throw this out there. We didn't have a ladder challenge yesterday, but I did do the pick segment as a fill-in host for the Adam Gold Show. Made some money there as well. Thank you, Cal Raleigh, for hitting a home run. So they were going to be the same 3 picks for the ladder challenge. So I got the win officially last time, but I am also unofficially snagging a win because I'm assuming you would have been wrong.
That's probably a pretty fair assumption to make.
Anywho, let's go ahead and jump to today's ladder challenge. 3 picks, $10 each. I think I'm on a 2-0 streak against you recently.
I think so. Again,
and
I think
last week
I don't think I got a single one right.
And we tied one, so it might be a 3-0 because it's like skins, right? The next one was worth 2, so I'm counting it as 3-0. You got some distance to make up here. I'll get us started. This time we have 3 picks each, $10. Whoever has the most money tomorrow is the winner. I'm going Caitlin Clark, 4 or more threes versus Seattle tonight. It's +130, and part of this, I think I've said this on air before. This is not the best gambling advice, but only gamble what you can lose, right? It's all for entertainment, whatever. Gamble responsibly, please. Sometimes I make picks based on what I will feel less stupid if I'm wrong. Like, hey, if I'm wrong on this, I get it, right? And I'll be able to I'll be okay with that loss. In the last 2 games that Caitlin Clark has played, she's gone 0 for 7 from 3 and 1 for 10 from 3. So you may be saying, why in the world would you bet on somebody that is 1 for 17 in their last 2 games from 3 to have 4 or more threes tonight versus Seattle? My answer is I can lose with the effort. If you're getting shots up, put the shots up. We'll live with the results, right? As it's so much more frustrating when you bet on someone to have like 3 or more threes and they take 2. I'm like, no, we didn't even give it a run. Caitlin Clark's going to get shots up. So if she's 1 for 17, if she's 0 for 10 at the end of tonight's game, I won't have won the bet, but I'll be able to put my head on the pillow at night. Give me Caitlin Clark, 4 or more threes versus Seattle. Turn my $10 into 23.
You always feel like you have a chance with the Caitlin Clark because she's always going to be firing those shots from wherever. So
it's also fun when she hits like 2 from the logo and starts nodding her head and everybody gets real excited. It's fun to be on the correct side of that bet.
Absolutely. I'm going a lot of baseball today. I mean, granted, there's not a ton going on in sports this week other than some drafts, but can't really make a pick on those. So first one leading off.
Spoken like a not degenerate. you can bet on who's going top 4 in the NHL draft.
Or if you're like Paul, you can bet on Canadian football. But
there you go.
I try to stick to things that I know, or at least think I know. So we're going to go. I've been burned by this before, but I feel good about it today. I don't know. I've just got a feeling. Going to go with the Red Sox. Out on the West Coast, playing against the Angels. They got Garrett Crochet on the bump. Their ace. I'm going to go with the Red Sox on the run line, -1.5. That's even money, plus 100. $10 would net me $20.
You are a Sox fan, right?
I am.
All right. So I did this trying to get ahead of it. I should have led with it. I had the leadoff spot. I don't know why I did. I'm going with Crochet, 10 or more strikeouts. Versus the Angels. Crochet averages 2nd most strikeouts per start this season in the entire league. And the Angels, who they're playing against, average getting struck out the 2nd most times per game in the entire league this year. So if you have the 2nd best strikeout pitcher against the 2nd best at striking out, worst at not striking out, that feels like a double negative. The team that strikes out the 2nd most, I like to bet the over on strikeouts. The number was actually 9, but I feel like he's not going to stop with 9, right? You'd like to have double figures in that column. So he's going to go for 10. 10 or more strikeouts plus 215, turn my 10 into 3150.
That'd be a shame if they end up winning because of that, and then you still make more than me off of it.
That's the goal.
I believe he leads the league in total strikeouts as well, so he's been everything they've needed as an ace pitcher, but the rest of the staff is just not quite there.
I've obviously put a lot of thought into making picks. I've been burned by just looking at raw totals. So now I'm almost always looking by per inning or per start, because there are some guys that they're durable and they end leading in raw totals. So like I said, I almost always look for per inning or per start, and per start he's up at like 7.8 something strikeouts per game. Per game, the Angels are just under 10 strikeouts per game. But if you combine those two, I think he'll be up over 10.
All right, I'm sticking with the diamond. I think all three of my picks are actually going to be in baseball today. I'm going to go. We got the Dodgers playing at the Colorado Rockies, one of the worst teams to this point in a season in Major League Baseball history. Playing at altitude, I'm just going to go with the chalk. Shohei Ohtani to hit a home run, plus 140, $10, net me $24.
I also have a home run prop, less heralded than Shohei Ohtani. The Cardinals, Alec Burleson to hit a home run versus the Cubs. It is plus 330. This is, admittedly, and I actually think it's good for baseball. I don't watch a lot of Cubs. I don't watch a lot of Cardinals, but I can look at numbers. Jameson Taillon?
Jameson Taillon.
Taillon, there you go. Like I said, I don't watch him, but I look at numbers. He's on the mound for the Cubs. Gives up the third most home runs per inning pitched in the entire league. Second most home runs allowed per game pitched. And if you do want raw totals, he is tied for the third most home runs allowed in just raw totals in the entire league. The interesting part about this is he's pitching for the Cardinals. The Cubs don't really have a home run. Like, I wish they had a dude that had hit like 17 home runs so I could just go, all right, obvious, you got a pitcher that gives up a bunch of home runs. Give me the guy that hits them all for the Cubbies. Instead, they have like a handful of guys that hit between like 7 and 10. Wilson Contreras hit 10. I was like, no, it's not going to be the obvious one. Alec Burleson, step on down. 9 home runs on the year. That's all I need. What was the guy's name? Jameson Taillon?
Jameson Taillon.
Taillon is going to tie one on for Burleson. Going deep.
Formerly of the Pittsburgh Pirates, as well as some other teams, I believe.
Plus 330, which would turn 10 into 44.
All right. My last pick, again, I said I'm going all baseball today. The Wake Forest alumnus, Chase Burns, making his Major League debut today for the Cincinnati Reds, going up against the Yankees. So there's a little bit of offensive firepower he's going up against, but I have faith in Chase Burns. I'm going to go with a little parlay action here. I'm going to go Chase Burns, 6+ strikeouts, and the Reds win, plus 294. $10 nets me $39.40.
All right, we'll see who has the most money tomorrow. That'll be the winner. Got to get on the board, Max.
Gosh, do I ever.
That's the ladder challenge. Let's move on. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Let's jump into Copper Drop. There it is. Copper Drop, this is where the producer for today, it is Max, who you just heard from, brings up ideas, guesses, predictions, thoughts, whatever he wants, and I tell him whether I am copping or dropping. It's like buy or sell. You will catch on. It is easy to digest. What are we starting with, Max?
We're starting with a little ACC basketball here, a little triangle basketball.
Okay.
So yesterday, college basketball analyst, writer, host John Rothstein put out a new episode of his show, his podcast, and he had an opinion on who should be the ACC Player of the Year. I've actually got some audio on this, so let's take a listen.
But I think if you really split the atom, I think if you really look in deep, I think unequivocally, you look at the personnel, you look at the criteria for the personnel, and then you start looking at the production of the personnel. And Darian Williams, who transferred from Texas Tech to NC State, should unequivocally be the ACC preseason Player of the Year. Look at what Williams did in the NCAA tournament last year. 4 NCAA tournament games for the Red Raiders, who advanced all the way to the Elite Eight before losing to Florida in a devastating loss in Northern California. What did Darian Williams do in those 4 games? 21 points, 7 rebounds, about 3 assists. That is what you are looking at if you are an NC State fan.
So he says unequivocally, Darion Williams, NC State, should be ACC preseason player of the year. Obviously not the highest stakes award given out, but cop or drop, should Darion Williams be the preseason ACC player of the year?
It's not a bad take. So often you just look towards top of the scoring column, and while he was talking, I was kind of trying to figure out what's going on here. Is Marcus Burton coming back to Notre Dame? Does he? I believe he still has eligibility. It's hard not to take the guy that led the league in scoring last year, but Burton also, quite frankly, wasn't. He leaves a lot to be desired in other parts of his game. Maxime Reynaud is gone. Cooper Flagg is gone. I believe Jameer Watkins is gone. Transfer portal. I don't know where he ended up. Andrei Stojakovic is gone. He's with Illinois. There's a lot of players that have transferred out that have been near the scoring top. So you do kind of have to project. I mean, there's going to be some Duke bias. Maybe you go with one of the freshmen, like with the taller boozer. Maybe you roll with an Isaiah Evans and assume he's in a bigger role, going to score a lot more. I don't hate Darion Williams as a pick. And the other deal is he was sharing a lot of the star at Texas Tech with Toppin, with a $4 million player. So perhaps NC State features him a bit more, although they do have good players around him as well. They played the portal well. I don't think it's going to be him, but I'm not saying I wouldn't vote for him. So I guess So what am I copying or dropping? Should he be or will he be?
We'll go with should.
Right now, like shooting from the hip, yeah, I'll buy that.
All right, I'm not quite as enthusiastic as John Rothstein, who unequivocally said he should be ACC preseason player of the year.
Maybe have a little bit more respect for the rest of the ACC than John Rothstein.
Yeah, I don't know necessarily.
What do you have, 15 and 7 or something? Let me look up his. What was Darion?
Yeah, I believe he averaged about 15 points. But he also, he did play that big role for their postseason run. They went to the Elite Eight. I could see why back him. I mean, unequivocal is definitely some strong language, but he's got to be up there, top 3 contenders.
15 points, 5.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, but he shot below 44% from the field. He's a good player, massive get. Let's not act like David Thompson's walking through that door.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So I'm like maybe all ACC, but I'm not nearly as enthusiastic as John.
It is preseason player of the year, so again, it's not like it's something super serious, I guess. But I was just kind of interested in how enthusiastic he was to have him as unequivocal player of the year. So we'll head on.
We'll wait as people excited about that program, though. As you can hear.
Oh yeah. All right, so let's move to a little bit of a hockey topic here. So we kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier. Cam Robinson from Elite Prospects was on Twitter earlier today talking about some smoke out there with the Hurricanes potentially bringing in Tomas Hertl, center from the Vegas Golden Knights. Ultimately, after initially reporting that, he said from asking around, doesn't appear Carolina has any deals in place at this time, not closing in on anything. Apparently, Canes brass was in draft meetings as this was all going on. All that being said, though, does not necessarily mean this move couldn't be made in the future. There is some other reports out there that Vegas is trying to move Tomas Hertl by Saturday, apparently at the latest. So cop or drop, Hertl would be the solution for the second-line center problem for the Carolina Hurricanes.
All right, I'm dropping that. But I do think we need to explain a few things. One, it has to be a really, really interesting time to be in the Canes front office. It reminds me of when super famous celebrities say they read about themselves dating someone like in a tabloid. They'll be at the grocery store and be like, "Oh, look at that! I'm dating so and so." Right? And I've never met that person because you're just the rumors get flying and then rumors become reports and then reports become fact, and then by the time it gets to the actual source, it's already been established. So they're in a meeting, right? And they come out and they're like, "Oh, we're trading for Tomas Hertl, huh? Look, I thought we were discussing Russian defensemen for the last hour, and turns out we were trading for Tomas Hertl." Here's why. Here's all right. There is one of two things we're going to have to be really okay with for the Carolina Hurricanes this offseason. I've made it very clear this is the summer of getting a center. I don't want to be 3/4 of the way into the year complaining about who the second line center is, like we have been really since Trocheck was on the way out. So here's what's happening. The Canes need something that everybody needs, right? Centers in hockey are edge rushers in football, 3-point shooters in the NBA. They are left-handed relievers in Major League Baseball. Everybody wants them, and nobody gives them up for free. And then on top of that, this year is even for centers a particularly tough year to go acquire them. Free agency class, underwhelming, old, right? Especially with some of the guys that have already re-signed with their club to stick around. Not the best. Even trade targets, right? Like we've talked ourselves into some guys being trade targets that nobody in the industry has really indicated their current team is looking to move. Guys like Tage Thompson, just because we want it. So here's what's going to happen. If the Canes get a center, which I think they should and hopefully they will do, you are either going to be excited for the player but concerned about the price, right? Like, oh, that's a really good player, but man, you traded a lot for him and you have to pay him that much? Or you're going to be excited about the price and you're going to be underwhelmed by the player. You're going to go like, all right, they only gave up a little bit, but that guy, he's old or he's slow or he doesn't score enough or he's left-handed or like there's going to be, you're either going to get the price you want but not the player you want, or the player you want and you're going to have to pay way more than you want to. Those are the only two options. So to me, Hurdle would fall on the, okay, you didn't give up that much, but you didn't get what you want, right? Based on where you are most off seasons, think this is the off season to go the opposite way. This is the off season to go, we know it's an overpay. We know. But guess what? It ain't tricking if you got it, right? Who cares if it's market value if we have it to spend and we can't, or we don't need it for something else? Because that's the piece that puts us over the top, right? You got to go that way. So, and by the way, like somebody remind me of this conversation when the Canes get their center, because I guarantee you, even if it's a really good player, if they overpay, we'll be sitting here going, gosh, they had to give the extra first rounder. Couldn't you get it done without including Jackson Blake? But the fact is, no, they couldn't. Like the way the market economy is set up, they're going to have to overpay to get one of those dudes, or they'll pay a more reasonable price, but they'll get a underwhelming player. I don't want the latter, so don't give me Tomas Hertl.
Yeah, so you're dropping it. For me personally, I'm confident. I like Hertl as a player. There's definitely been around our studios today, there's a lot of people who are saying they wouldn't like it. Our boss, host of Next Up, Paul Ihander included, and as you mentioned, Dennis not a huge fan either. But I like him as a player. He fits that second line center mold pretty well. 32 goals last season, got some good experience. And he's got that part of his contract retained as well, so it's not like the worst price.
I'll give you this as well. Adam Gold, not in studio this week, but in response to that Cam Robinson tweet that said there's some smoke out there that Carolina could be bringing in Thomas Hertl. Carolina gets a top 6 forward. Vegas opens up cap space for a Marner pitch, working to confirm. Adam retweeted that with, would approve of this on many fronts. Many fronts. And he said many fronts twice. That was not me adding emphasis. Which makes me think he's not only excited potentially about Hertl, but also doesn't make it. This is me guessing, like the many fronts. Like that would send Marner elsewhere, which tells me maybe he's not excited about Marner being a Carolina option. So it's like
the tea leaves.
If we get Hertl, and that means they get Marner, many fronts. So you're not alone on your side of wanting Hertl. I want a big fish hunt a little bit more.
Okay, I see. I mean, we were talking about the second line, though. That's a really solid player at a decent price,
if
locked up.
If we want to be first line with it, we can be first line with it.
That's true. I guess I didn't consider that. And, I'm sure somebody like Sebastian Aho would be willing to drop down if it meant some more team success. He's a big team guy, so
1A, 1B.
Exactly. So we touched on basketball a little bit. We'll jump back to that here. There is a graphic going around on X, formerly Twitter, and that was reposted by Matt Norlander of CBS Sports. Basically, what it says is North Carolina has not had a top 5 pick in the NBA draft in 20 years. Their last top 5 pick, they actually had 2 top 5 picks in the 2005 draft. It was Marvin Williams went 2nd overall, Raymond Felton went 5th overall. In the time since, they have not had a top 5 pick in that same time frame. Duke has, I believe, 9 top 5 picks with likely 1 or 2 more coming tomorrow in the 2025 NBA draft. All this to say, they haven't had a top 5 pick in 20 years. Cop or drop, is UNC starting to fall behind in terms of their blue blood status in college basketball?
Well, the interesting part is what you just said is all true, but in that same time frame, the last 20 years, both Duke and UNC have 2 national championships apiece, which to me, blue blood status has always been about winning and trophies and banners. Putting players in the NBA, I think, helps that, right? If you're putting players into the NBA, then you're going to get better recruits. More people will be interested in it. It becomes easier to acquire talent, which then you can win championships with. So, you can have all the first-round picks you want. If my team is winning more national championships, I'm going to feel like I'm winning. With that being said, I talk about this in college football. There were 3 times in my life that I thought this football dynasty is never going to end. One was USC with Pete Carroll, because I was going like Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, these guys are famous. It's USC, it's LA. They're going to be good forever. And then obviously the recruiting violations hit and Pete Carroll had to bounce. The next was Florida under Urban Meyer, because I was going, they just get it. It was Percy Harvin. It was the Demps, the speedster. They had all these great players. Tim Tebow, goodness gracious, national championships. They're cranking. Why would a recruit not want to go there? They're going to, and then obviously a whole bunch of off the field stuff. And then Urban Meyer leaves. Alabama was the same way, but we'll see if it lasts without Nick Saban. Another thing similarly was I thought UNC would just be cranking out NBA players forever. I was like, they have Michael Jordan as an alum. It's going to happen forever. And it just seemed like it did, right? Every time you turned on NBA, they're going back to NBC, right? So, right, you get the theme song, you got the graphics rejoining, and you just, more often than not, you saw someone in the starting lineup from UNC. And not just the Rasheed Wallaces and the Vince Carters and the super duper stars. Like you'd see like a George Lynch, right? You'd see like they just had so many. I was like, this is never going to stop. And the year you talked about, 20 years ago, the last time they had a top 5 draft pick, they had a bench player go number 2 overall. Marvin Williams didn't even start. And it wasn't just that they had 2 top 5 picks. It was Marvin Williams. It was Raymond Felton in the top 5. Then they had Sean May and Rashad McCants in the lottery. They had 4 lottery picks. This is never going to end. And then for whatever reason, the faucet turned off. Roy Williams obviously prioritized a different style of player. Hubert's kind of gone that way. But I don't think they're at any risk of bumping down in their blue blood status, because they, even with not top 5 picks, they got national championships to show for it. So, Duke had 9 top 5 picks with potential 1 or 2 more tonight or tomorrow night. But they got the same amount of national championships, so that's what I consider blue blood is when you start hanging banners.
So you're dropping that they're falling behind.
I'm dropping that they are falling behind in blue blood status. They are falling behind in NBA production, but that wasn't the Copper Drop. And that is the end of Copper Drop. And that will open up the opportunity for me to tell you about Miller Lending. Tim Donnelly here for Gordon Miller and Miller Lending, home of the no-cost loan. I haven't used this one in a while. I'm a fan of analogies. You may hear some other lenders, some other brokers say, our rates are lower than Miller's. You should come here. But we've heard this in something like an airline, right? Our tickets are the cheapest. Here's how much our tickets cost. And you're like, wow, that is cheaper. I'm going to book. And then they go, are you bringing a check bag? And you go, yes. They go, that's $75. You go, ooh, never mind, I'll carry it on. They go, well, that's $100. You're like, wait a second. Then you get onto the plane, and they're like, would you like a drink? Yes, that'll be $12. And you're like, wait, can I just have water? No, absolutely not. Okay. Well, all right, can you at least get out of the way? I have to use the bathroom. Well, that's going to be another $10. And you turn out that the only way that your ticket was that price is if you have a 2-day layover in Denver. And you're like, wait a second, my entire trip is 2 days. I can't have a 2-day layover in Denver. And you realize that by the end of it, your ticket was like 10 times the price of you could have just gotten it somewhere else. The same is true, right? Hey, our rates are lower by a little bit. It's like, yeah, but you have to pay thousands of dollars of closing costs, and you have to pay this fee, and you have to pay that surcharge, you have to pay this extra, you have to do that, and the other. Or you can go to Miller Lending, where you don't pay any of it. No closing costs, no costs, no fees, no surcharges, no third-party fees. Zero means zero. In the end, after you do the math, which one do you think is actually going to save you the most money? They'll calculate it for you. Give them a call, 919-447-3377, right? Everybody's situation is different, but they'll walk you through it. 919-447-3377, or you can visit them online. It's easy to remember. For Miller Lending online, just go to millerlending.com, millerlending.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender, and MLS number 250-2146. We'll take a break. Next up, the NBA Draft. We just mentioned it not too long ago. It's tomorrow. Who's the second best Duke player in the draft? Next.
Duke's Cooper Flag will go number one.
Now Cooper across midcourt, takes it inside, and throws it down with two hands.
But where will the rest of his teammates land in the pros?
Knipples open.
And that will open
Good
up the
again.
And don't forget Carolina's Drake Powell.
Powell hangs in the air, gets the bucket to go, and James is called for the foul.
The 2025 NBA Draft, Wednesday and Thursday night on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Dear McDonald's, your breakfast menu, fire. 10s across the board. I could be happy with anything, even though I order the same thing every time. Thanks for not judging me. I'll try something new next time. Maybe.
Get your faves for less. Buy a sausage McMuffin with egg for $2.50 at any size Sprite for $1.49. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Did you catch Luisito's header?
Yeah, I just recorded it on my new Samsung A36 5G phone I got for free at Total Wireless.
Oh, I'm actually live streaming the whole match with my new Samsung Tab A9 that I also got free at Total Wireless.
I got that tablet too.
And I got that phone too. We both got both.
Go!
Switch to Total Wireless and get both the Samsung A36 5G and the Samsung Tab A9 for free. For a limited time while supplies last, valid in store. Requires new phone activation on the Total 5G Unlimited plan or higher external port and ID verification and new activation on the Total 5G Unlimited 6-month tablet plan. Restrictions apply.
When you switch to Progressive, you could save bundling your home and auto. Then you could put that money towards some of the surprisingly more expensive things in life.
Attention passengers, we've reached 10,000 feet and internet is now available for purchase.
I just paid hundreds for this flight, and you can't even throw an internet? I'll just take the free pretzels.
Sorry, but I do have snack boxes for sale.
I'm just gonna sleep.
In that case, we are selling pillows and blankets as well.
I'll just breathe. That's free, right?
Life costs a lot, so bundle and you could save with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers, not available in all states.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly here on 99.9 The Fan. NBA Draft is tomorrow. And we're going to start with a 10-minute debate on who's going to go number one overall, present all of the candidates that are potential. No, I'm kidding. It's Cooper Flag. It's been known since he was like 16 years old. Do you know how good Cooper Flag is? And I say this not just trying to blow smoke or just hype up because, you know, he's from a school in the area. Two ways, you know. One, a video came out. He was at the Fanatics Fest where he was standing. By the way, I think he understood the magnitude of the situation, which I appreciate, somebody of my generation. Allen Iverson was getting out of a car, and you could tell that Cooper Flag wanted to meet Allen Iverson. And Allen Iverson saw him from a distance and said, "That's a bad man right there." And I went, is there a better cosign than Allen Iverson looking at a basketball player and saying, "That's a bad dude right there"? That's like People my age, you'd rather hear that than like get the Presidential Medal of Freedom or something like that. I was like, I hope he understands how cool that is. But then they walked up and they started talking. I kid you not, they dapped each other up. They shook hands like 4 times in 15 seconds. They were just excited, and I went, all right, AI knows what's up. Next way is you're starting, and this has been happening for a while, and I've said this before. More and more people are starting to claim that they knew about him before everybody else. And that's how you know somebody is great. When right, it's the when there's a great game, like the Stanford band play game, I'm talking about the band is on the field. There's 60,000 seats in that stadium, but there's 500,000 people that said they were there watching it live. If you talk to them now, like the more people just start claiming, that's a lot of what's happening with Cooper. Everybody saw him play when he was 13 years old. Everybody. And they all knew right then he was going to be the number 1 overall pick. And I'm going like, I mean, I'm sure he played in some national AAU stuff, but the dude was in Maine. I'm not sure how many of these California talent evaluators, Texas talent evaluators, saw Maine elite 13-year-olds. But I digress. He's going number 1 overall. It's been known for a while. So who's, the next best? Victoria asked me this on the Adam Gold Show. Who's the next best? She actually framed it as, who's the next best ACC player that's going to go in the draft? I mean, no offense. That means which is the next best Duke player that's going to go in the draft.
Yeah, well, apparently based on the last 20 years of trends, it's not going to be a Carolina player.
Not be Carolina. Hunter Salas may get drafted out of Wake Forest in the late second.
Yeah, late second.
Maxime Reynaud might get drafted out of Stanford as a really interesting character.
Yeah, he's like late first or so.
Super interesting backstory on him. Played with Victor Wembanyama in like the juniors, but then went to Stanford as like a engineering major and walk-on basketball player. He's 7 feet tall. But there's some guys that could get drafted, but it comes down to Con Knipple and Kaman Malawash. And Knipple versus Malawash hasn't really been a debate until I heard it was on SJS with Josh Graham. Randolph Childress, who is a legendary ACC player, Wake Forest guy, he likes Malawash over Con Knipple.
I don't think it's close. I think it's Malawash.
Really?
I don't think it's close.
Why?
Because offensively, I think there's more there. I think he can develop his shot offensively. A 7-foot athletic big that rim run, block shots, finish around the rim, and ultimately he could be like a Miles Turner type of big for you ultimately.
So here's the thing. Earlier today, we talked about what the Canes should do with the 29th overall pick, and I made a big dramatic speech, really got my monologue on, about NHL, you go best player available. Doesn't matter about position, doesn't matter about play style, you go best player available. Because it's hard to figure out which players can even make the NHL, let alone if you're trying to make that selection while picking a specific play style or picking a specific position, right? The NBA is the exact opposite. The NBA, you do need to think about what you want when drafting a player, particularly if there's not like the rare fits everybody mold. Like a Cooper Flagg he'd fit in with any style. There are those players, but timelines matter, windows matter, how much you need this player to contribute right now matters, and it actually got me thinking. I would take Con Knipple first in a vacuum out of the two. But if you're a team that doesn't think you're ready to start contending, which if you're drafting this high near the top, probably that, right? If you're a team that doesn't think you're ready to start contending and you're not going to flip the switch yet, Malawash has some intrigue. Con Knipple is ready-made. What I mean by that is he shows up, he's got a professional scoring arsenal. He can contribute, not a main number 1 option, but he can be a guy on a second unit that gets his own shot right now in the NBA. But what if you're like, yeah, we're not even trying to compete until 2027? What's this ready-made, ready-to-go, pro-ready guy going to do for us when we actually have the luxury of building a player? We have the luxury of developing a player with very little pressure. Malawash then becomes the more interesting option because of what you heard from Childress there. He's much more of a lotto ticket. I believe his ceiling is higher than Knippel's. And I'll tell you right now, at the ACC tournament, I think, yes, it was the ACC tournament. Could have been the NCAA tournament, but it was the ACC tournament. I got to the arena or the game early enough. Maybe I watched the previous game. I don't even remember. But I was sitting courtside watching the teams get ready. And Malawash was out there early. This is like pre-warm-ups. This isn't layup lines. This is guys that are out there with the stretching bands and they're going foam roller and listening to music. And Malawash just came over to the corner right in front of me, and he knocked down like 6 of 7 threes, smooth. Corner threes, just choo, choo, choo. And I was like, wait a gosh darn minute. That's not a rim runner. That's not alley-oop catcher. That's not set a screen and get back to 2 feet in the paint. That's a guy like smooth, right? And then in that game, I think he made either a 3, maybe 2 threes at the end of a shot clock. And I went, oh, there's something else there. Now, what is the potential? What is the percentages that he hits it? I don't know. But if he becomes a legit floor spacer at 7'2", super long arm, jump, dunk, do all of it, and he can pick and pop if you just drop everybody on the pick and roll, that changes everything. But it comes down to what you need, right? In the NBA, I think you really look in tiers, okay? I think there's a top 1 tier, Cooper Flagg. Then there's a 2 tier, second pick, Harper out of Rutgers. 3 to 10 this year? It's what you need. And Knippel and Malawash are both in that group. So if somebody on their board, and we'll never know because everybody gets the top guy on their board every year. If somebody on their board, that means they lie, by the way, afterwards. This is exactly, we did 4,000 mock drafts, and in none of them did this player fall to us at this pick. Oh, we're ecstatic. We picked 38th, and we had him 3rd on our big board. They just want to make, and they should hype up the player's confidence. But if we ever had access to their big boards, maybe years later a GM will break him out for us after he's retired and he's writing his book. If somebody has Malawash over Knippel, I'm not saying like, what? How? Ridiculous. I'm saying, oh, you think there's a chance that your team can develop him and have the patience to turn his unbelievable ball of clay into something great, right? Because the only way people become in-game shooters is to shoot in-game. Con Knippel can shoot in-game right now, knock down probably 38% his rookie year from 3, and he'll be 41 by his 3rd year. And you'll just be cruising, and you'll have a player that can contribute. Come on, Malawash, the first time you give him the green light to shoot 3 threes a game, he might shoot 28%. But the gold is at the end of the rainbow, right? If you put in all of the work, you might end up with a 7-footer that can shoot 37.5% from 3. And that is way more valuable than a guy that's 6'5" shooting 40% from 3. So that's where I'm cool with it. So basically, this is the worst thing in sports media. I'm asking a question: who's the next best Duke prospect? And I'm going, tell me what you want.
Exactly.
Right? Trying to be the sales guy when you walk into the clothing store. What are you looking for? Right? I'm not just going to walk in and say, this is the best shirt we have. You're like, well, that's great. That's a button-up, and I need a golf shirt. All right, let's go over to you have to tell me what you're looking for, because basketball is different than Major League Baseball and the NHL, where you just go best player available. The question is always quality. Who's the best? Scale of 1 to 100, down to the second decimal. Who's the best? Rate everybody, put them in order, make the pick. In the NBA, you do have to look at position. You do have to look at the window that your team has. If Dallas had to choose between Malawash and Knippel, I believe they're picking Knippel because they were one win out of the postseason last year, and he might be worth that 1 win. If let me think of another example. If a really bad team, do I want to name one? Could we?
The Hornets.
Yeah, if the Hornets were picking out of those two, I think they're going to pick Knippel. I think it's because they're ready to flip the switch. They're ready to go all out to compete because it's been long enough. But if there's a team that's maybe newly bad, if that makes any sense, just traded away their star, then Malawash makes sense.
I mean, there's also like a realistic scenario where the Hornets trade down and take either of them, but in the trade down scenario, probably Malawash is the only one of the two available, so that is a very realistic thing that could happen.
If the Hornets trade back and draft Malawash, I think that's a very good draft for them.
I don't know if they'd be keeping Mark Williams, or maybe he'd be going out in that deal.
Yes, I would assume there would have to be. You can only have so many rim-running 7-footers. But then if Malawash is a shooter, who knows? Mark Williams would very much give them the opportunity to slow play the development of Malawash because you wouldn't have to force him into any situations. But to answer the question, I would take Knipple first in a vacuum. If you told me which team I was the GM of, that answer might change. But in a vacuum, I'm starting a franchise, I would take Knipple.
He's probably currently the better player. Can I give you a sneaky third option? Doesn't really count.
Sure.
If you're asking this question about the best Duke player who is available after Cooper Flagg. He's not really a Duke player, but someone rising up the draft boards like rapidly is Cedric Coward because his physical tools as well as his shooting ability. I don't know if you've seen this list of wings with a 7'2" wingspan taken in the first round since 2016.
I have not seen that particular list.
The players listed: Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, PJ Washington, Rui Hachimura, Scotty Barnes, Jalen Williams, J-Dub, like the 40-point in the finals, J-Dub, Tari Eason, Bilal Coulibaly, and Jarris Walker. So it is kind of TBD on those last couple, but that is a pretty good hit rate for players that fit that specific mold, which Cedric Coward does.
I call Coward, the Duke is all about the brotherhood. I call him a cousin because he committed and he was kind of in the mix for like a month, but then the pros came calling.
And they said, oh, actually, you're going to be you might be a lottery pick. He's like, well, I'm going to go to the NBA.
I'll tell you when I knew. He went to the combine, and at the NBA combine during shooting drills, they do these like run, shoot at three, run, shoot at three, run, shoot at three. During shooting drills, and they keep a scoreboard up on the Jumbotron. Somebody, I don't know if it was a leak or a reporter did it, somebody took a picture and it passed around on social media where he was number one out of everyone there in three-point shooting. And I went, oh, he's 6'6", and he's the best shooter at the combine? Yeah, he ain't coming back he's not coming back to college.
I'm not going to lie, I would love to see the Hornets somehow pick him up as well as whoever they take at the top pick, but
it's kind of unprecedented. He started at a bad Division III basketball program. Then he went to Central Michigan or Eastern Washington. Then he did a couple years there. Then he transfers to Washington State, plays 6 games and gets hurt. Plays well, but 6 games, gets hurt, commits to Duke, ends up going to the NBA before ever getting to Duke. Risk reward, right? I think he's a really, really good pick for a team like the Thunder because they can swing for the fences knowing if they miss, they have a bunch of other guys that are still young, still good, and 4 first-round picks next year. So they got, the 15th pick? If they trade up to 10?
They might not even need to.
If they got him at 15, that's perfect for them, right?
He's been mocked kind of in that range, anywhere from like 8 to like
if he has to
late
play
lottery,
a couple
20.
weeks in the G League, it's not the end of the world to them. There's a lot of things going on there. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We got to keep it moving. Let's get to the starting 5 after this.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
The Kevin Durant situation in Houston feels a lot like the Aaron Rodgers situation with the Jets.
Oh, no.
This is not where I'm just going to put it out there. Like, obviously, this won't be the place where he's had the most success in his playing career, but this will be the thing that we remember the most.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Victoria Vodnecker from 99.9 The Fan here with Dr. Brenna Houlihan from Wake Med. She's here to educate us a little bit more on Men's Health Month. Now, people may not be aware of this, but the technical screening window for a colonoscopy's changed, right?
It has in the last couple of years. We're now really recommending it at 45.
Much earlier, right?
Yes, earlier than 50 that most people are used to. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you have a first-degree relative, meaning your parents or siblings that have had colon cancer, you actually need to do it 10 years before the age that they were diagnosed, or 40, whichever comes first. The day before, you do have to kind of purge out the system. So you have to do clear liquids. It makes us be able to see everything in the colon. But the day of the colonoscopy, you get some medication, you snooze, and before you know it, it's all over.
Well, definitely important to know, especially if you fit that bill. Thank you so much, Dr. Houlihan, for your information. If you have any more questions or want to find a provider local to you, visit wakemed.org.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, and it's no surprise. Same game parlay from Bet365 just keeps getting better.
Well, it's even easier to make a bet. Choose from the most popular markets like hits, run line, totals, and home runs. So many to choose from.
Download the app, start building your bet, and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in North Carolina. T&Cs apply.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous chicken, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can forget the cookbook and spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner from Bojangles. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time. Time to stop whatever you're doing for some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. Satisfy your craving for flavor and your passion for boneless chicken with Bojangles 4-piece Supremes Dinner. 4 perfectly seasoned Cajun-fried whole breast tenderloin fillets, choice of fixin', a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, and Bojangles legendary iced tea. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time. This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Injury Lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it.
That one back, that one going, gone!
Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm WRAL meteorologist Mike Mays. 80 the low tonight with an isolated shower. It's been a hot afternoon. Stays hot tonight. Hot again tomorrow, 100 the high. We also have a level 2 risk for severe storms in the afternoon and also into the evening hours.
Weather report brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 5 o'clock check of your money at the closing bell. Dow Jones up 507 points to 43,089.
It's 5 o'clock. Time to serve up the biggest sports stories of the day. Here comes your starting 5.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time for the starting 5. I'm going to do some programming live on air for you all. I'll let you behind the curtain. We are going to change number 4 to the thing that was breaking earlier. All right. The starting 5 at 5 starts with number 5.
Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Doesn't have fresh legs with him. And he'll drop it back. Marner to work. He's in. Marner scores! It's Marner in overtime.
The NHL Draft is Friday. Canes have the 29th pick. At some point before the draft, teams, and by the way, some teams have started. We've seen Mason Marchment traded. We've seen Zegras traded to the Flyers. We've seen some early kind of, I wouldn't say big dominoes, but some things have started to happen. There will be news. Something will happen before the draft or during the draft. Nothing more electric than seeing those alerts come when a team is on the clock. And the Canes need to be prepared for everything. Right? The 29th pick that they have, the 29th overall pick that they have ownership of going into the first round. Right? other teams are going to be paying attention. If their guy falls and suddenly it's, oh, he is available, there might be moves happening, and obviously you have to decide quickly. And part of it is, let me step back. One of the reasons I like that I like about the situation for the Canes going into the draft is they're one of the few teams out there, particularly one of the few teams that are good out there, that can spend a good amount of cap space or can trade some things and still have enough for the big dominoes later, right? Because it's pretty obvious that guys like Mitch Marner are going to wait for July 1st. He may even end up waiting a couple days past July 1st when free agency opens up, give him time to go have meetings across the country with different teams. And what that's going to do to some teams that are in the Mitch Marner sweepstakes is it's going to paralyze them because they can't spend any of their cap space in case it needs to go to Marner. And same with other situations, right? If there's a trade option out there that we are or aren't aware of, teams might go, no, I can't trade that pick in case they call about this person. Or I can't trade that prospect in case, that person becomes available. And if that person becomes available, I want to make sure I have the things I need to trade for it. Almost like I'm going to the beach with my family the other day. I was thinking about we should play Monopoly. It's almost like when somebody else has a hotel, so you keep the cash on hand just in case you land on the hotel. Like, oh, man, that hotel's worth $500. I have to keep $500 cash here so I don't have to mortgage anything when I land on that hotel. Like, Mitch Marner is kind of the hotel, right? I got to keep all this cash on hand in case Mitch Marner wants to accept my contract. The Canes, they can make a trade. They can go get a second-line center. They can go get a higher-priced defenseman. They can go get a scoring winger. They can go do a few things and then still have enough money for Marner or whoever else is their big fish because they don't have, $14.5 million in cap space. They have $27 million in cap space because they don't have, 2 first-round picks in the next 3 drafts. They have 6 first-round picks in the next 4 drafts. They can spend a little and still have the cost of entry on other sweepstakes. So I think that's going to be a big part of the draft is seeing which teams almost like stand still, motionless. Like, no, we're still waiting. We're waiting on a call. We can't do anything. We're waiting on a call. And which teams can be active and maneuver, knowing, even if that call comes, we'll handle that. We got other things we want to do. That's number 5. Let's hit number 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, all together.
The first 2 games they played in the playoffs back in mid-April, they lost. Then they won the next 4 and the 2 rounds after. They have been absolutely relentless. Brindamore with the net empty. Pronger shrugs it away. The Carolina Hurricanes have won the Stanley Cup.
They announced the soon-to-be inducted class into the Hockey Hall of Fame today. Rod Brindamore not on it. Max, can you give the names that are?
Yeah, it was Joe Thornton, Duncan Keith, Alexander McGillney, and Zdeno Chara were the male players that were inducted this year. So I believe it was Chara's first year. It might have been him and Keith might have been their first year of eligibility. There were some other first-year players that had a pretty good chance to. Carey Price is one of them, but did not get in on the first ballot. But yet another year.
Thornton was a first year.
Who?
Thornton?
He might have been first year. He did play for a long time, so it may have been his first year as well.
He's like 13th in total points in history. If they made him wait, then that's even more messed up. I was thinking about the problem with these conversations. So that news broke in the 3 o'clock hour. We've referenced it a few times. I was thinking about the problem because I put out a tweet basically complaining that he's not in. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and be like I was making a super intellectual point. No, I'm bummed that our guy isn't in the Hall of Fame. And I was thinking about it going, this is like a no-win situation. What I mean by that is I put out something saying Rod Brindamore should be in the Hall of Fame. Canes fans all go, yeah. Fans of every other team go, well, that's a guy that covers the Canes, homering for a Canes guy to go into the Hall of Fame. And they're not wrong, but here's the issue. No other team is going to care about your franchise stars enough to argue for them to make the Hall of Fame. Somebody like Joe Thornton goes in. Like I just said, he's like 13th in points in the history of the league. He goes in. Do you know what my reaction is? Cool. Because he's not my guy, right? He's a shark. Or McGillney goes in, and somebody that's probably wait a long time. It's their fan base is probably like, our arguments worked, and I'm like, good for him, right? Because it's Hall of Fames are celebratory, right? They're made for TV moments. So there's no reason, like there's nobody that's like a Minnesota Wild fan that's just on the nature of like integrity going, no, it's messed up that Rod Brind'Amour isn't in the Hall of Fame because it's not their guy, right? Not even like a native Minnesotan, right? If it was like, I don't know, Neil Broughton or something, they'd make that argument. But same is true for us the other way. I'm sure there are other guys for other teams that they're getting snubbed every year, but nobody's really about that life for anyone else. So what I'm getting at is the only people that argue for snubbed players, even if they're right, are the fans of that player. And then that can be easily dismissed as, oh, well, that's an argument that's only coming from him because he's a fan of that player. And I'm going, well, yes, but that doesn't mean I'm wrong, right? Like, yes, I work for the station that airs Carolina Hurricanes games. So anything I say about Rod Brind'Amour deserves to be in the Hall of Fame is going to be taken with like not even a grain of salt, with like a whole salt shaker of salt by anybody else. That doesn't mean I'm wrong. It just means I'm in this glass case of I can't break out of it because the logic says that you're not going to take me seriously. So it's like a pointless argument that you just have to keep making until eventually they come to their senses. That's what I'm getting at. And I remember similarly, for whatever reason, growing up, probably because they were good when I was like 7, I was a huge fan of the Elway Broncos teams that won in the Super Bowl, the 97-98 Broncos teams. And Terrell Davis was my guy. You may not believe this, my 6'4" lanky self. In Pop Warner football, I was a running back, and I wore number 30. And the jersey, right, because back in the day, the jersey numbers, it's not like they had 30 in small, medium, large, extra large. Like 30, for whatever reason, our team was an extra small. And I was not one of the extra small kids. So I needed like 6 people to help me get this jersey on. But I was wearing 30 because of Terrell Davis. So when he was up for the Hall of Fame, I'm making all these arguments, right? Oh, his 3-year stretch is better than anyone else's 3-year stretch. If Gale Sayers is in, then Terrell Davis has to be in, blah, 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 on and on and on and on and on, until eventually you look around and you're like, nobody's taking me seriously because they know I'm just a big Terrell Davis fan, and I used to wear number 30, and all my friends are just tuning me out because it's guess what? I was right. He ended up in the Hall of Fame. I was right the whole time, but they took it away from me because I was a Terrell Davis fan. That's my guy. It's almost like I need to go find somebody that hated Rod Brind'Amour, and then I had to hate someone they want to get in the Hall of Fame, and we can like trade our campaigning because it'll seem like more valid. Like, listen, I know you hate Rod. You argue for Rod. It'll mean more coming from you. Who do you want me to argue for? And pick some, I don't know, Florida Panther. Pick some Ranger, and we'll go from there. And I'd have to do it. I don't know. That doesn't sound very fun. That's number 4. Let's get to number 3.
We got better tonight.
Celtics-Blazers made a low-key, really fascinating trade last night. The Celtics traded Drew Holiday, who, by the way, is just a winning player. He might be the best perimeter defensive player in the NBA. Won an NBA championship with the Bucks, bounced over to the Celtics, won an NBA championship with them. People may forget that he was an all-star with Philadelphia 76ers about darn near 20 years ago now.
Well, it wasn't that long ago. I saw him play, but
long time ago.
I saw him play against the Bobcats once when I was like 12, so it wasn't that long. Granted, I'm a grown man now.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're like a productive member of society. It was a long time ago. When it started with the Sixers. We traded him away for a pick that I believe became Nerlens Noel. Way to go! I'm a Sixers fan for those who don't know. Either way, he was traded to the Blazers. The Blazers sent back, what was it? 2 second-round picks and Anthony Simons, which Anthony Simons, good player, much younger than Drew Holiday. He was probably about 12 when Drew Holiday was a all-star with the Sixers. It was a cap dump move, right? Drew Holiday's making a lot more money than Anthony Simons. Anthony Simons comes off the books at the end of this year with like $28 million a year cap hit. And 2 second-round picks, sure, whatever gets the deal done. The Celtics have a unfortunate, really nice opportunity. When your best player gets hurt, you get like a get-out-of-jail free pass for a year to reset and kind of rebuild your roster that you wouldn't have if Tatum didn't get hurt. Tatum popped his Achilles in the playoffs. He's done for this year, or he was done for the rest of this year and next year, most likely. The Celtics were in cap jail, and I know there's not a hard cap, but there's the second apron and all this. They were going to be spending so much money. And now with a year off, you can wait out a few contracts that'll expire. You can trade guys like Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, who I think they will trade next, and get out from some of your salary cap issues. Even entertain if somebody wants to break the bank for Jaylen Brown. Get young players in, reset, and if you stink this year in this transition phase, who cares? Jason Tatum isn't playing. You weren't going to win anyway. We saw the Warriors kind of do this. Remember, Klay Thompson was gone for like 2 years. There was a year where Steph Curry his hand was wrapped. I think it was a thumb, but maybe a wrist for like most of the year. And it was Jordan Poole and Draymond Green out there just doing the best they could. They stunk. They got the second overall pick. They reset some things, shuffled up their roster, came back, won another title a couple years later. It gives you that reset kind of for free. And I think the Celtics needed it. And then when Tatum comes back, assuming he's still Tatum, you can build around the players you chose to keep, the players you chose to bring in, be in a better cap situation. You just have to endure it for a year. And the Blazers got basically the opportunity to trade Dame Lillard and Anthony Simons for the same guy, because they traded Dame Lillard to the Bucks for Drew Holiday, immediately flipped him to the Celtics. Now have traded Anthony Simons to the Celtics for Drew Holiday. That makes, I won't say it makes a lot of sense. That's number 3. Let's hit number 2.
Just the two of us.
UNC, meaning the Tar Heels. Their director of athletics, Bubba Cunningham, wrote a letter yesterday, put it out to the public about how they plan on using their revenue share money, $20.5 million. They will max it out. Not every team will. Right? The House settlement says they can pay up to $20.5 million to their players. The Tar Heels will max it out. For more details on how they will do so, Brian Murphy, WRAL Sports investigative reporter.
We don't know the breakdown. We do know that the back pay included in the House settlement goes 75% to football, 15% to men's basketball, 5% to women's basketball, and 5% to all other sports. So if North Carolina is spending a little bit less on football, I would imagine men's basketball is going to get the lion's share of that difference, with women's basketball getting somewhere around 5% and then baseball. But we don't have exact percentages on what they're going to be distributing. We don't even know what Duke or NC State, how they're going to split up their money. I spoke with the AD at East Carolina, and he said that everyone is going to have to give to football and men's basketball because that generates the revenue. But at a school like East Carolina, they may decide to try to prop up their very good baseball program. And so it's going to be up to each individual school to decide how they spend that money.
So here's the deal. I was surprised pleasantly by the cutthroat nature of UNC picking four sports to give their revenue share to. As far as schools that have reported publicly, they are tied with Ohio State for the fewest schools that they'll be sharing their revenue with, 4. Which, if you caught from Brian, it's men's and women's basketball, football, and baseball, and not in that order. At first, I thought, oh, that's an insult to, I don't know, the women's lacrosse program, the women's soccer program, the women's field hockey program, teams that win national championships, a whole bunch. Men's golf, which has some of their more famous alumni as of right now. I'm going like, geez, they're not sharing any of the revenue there. And then I talked to some people that are in that industry, in kind of the collective world, sent some text like, all right, why did they pick these 4? Why not include this? Blah, 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 blah. And their response basically could be a compliment to those sports I just mentioned, saying and this is not coming from inside UNC. I don't want to act like I have insider information. This is more people that just know the industry hypothesizing. They might be saying we're going to be the best funded women's soccer program without any money from the school. Like, we have NIL collective endorsements, like straight up endorsements that'll make our women's soccer players at least on par with the highest funded programs. We don't need money from the school. We're that much more famous. And the same is true for like lacrosse, field hockey, other things. Like, we can get our play. Like, if other teams are giving $200,000 to revenue share to their women's soccer program, I'm just using women's soccer as an example. UNC can get $400,000 to their women's soccer program in traditional endorsements, where that's basically what they're saying. We don't have to revenue share with them. We can keep up with the Joneses without any money from the school, which is kind of a flex. Kind of saying like, oh, no, your soccer players aren't famous. Ours are, so we're good. What I will say is then you have to back that up, meaning I would want to see the school working to make my soccer players famous. Like, if I'm the soccer coach, I'm going, all right, we're not getting any revenue share. How are you helping use the eyeballs that come onto your program for men's basketball see our soccer team, right? Like, let's get creative. Let's be on the Jumbotron. Like, let's get creative. When they're out at an event, let's put us at the event. And let's have us bring our trophies. And let's have us sign autographs. I want us to be as famous as they are, because that's the only place we're getting our money. You're giving them millions of dollars in revenue share. Let's make sure the effort isn't revenue shared the same way that the money is.
Make it equal out one way or another from a different source.
That's number 2. Let's get to number 1.
Go one!
NBA draft tomorrow. First pick will be Cooper Flagg from Duke. Somewhere in the top 6 or 7 will be Con Knipple. Somewhere in the top 10 will be Kaman Malawash. The second round, by the way, is not on Wednesday. The NBA is going full NFL and saying, like, let's make an event out of it. So the second round, they only have 2 rounds. Second round will be on Thursday. You'd expect to hear, actually, UNC's Drake Powell maybe end of the first. Throw that out there. 28th, 29th is where I'm seeing him mocked most often. Could fall into the second, but you hope not. He's a freshman, gave up his eligibility, could have came back, made good NIL money. Just talked about it. UNC's revenue sharing with their men's basketball team. Second round, you'd expect Tyrese Proctor from Duke. You'd expect Sion James from Duke. You'd expect Hunter Salas from Wake Forest. That's about it for the schools in our area. But I'm saying that's it. Right, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 64. So you're looking at, over. Am I doing this right? Am I doing this math right? It's on-air math. Over 10%, right? Because 6.4 would be 10%, so 7 would be over. All right.
Yeah.
I was getting nervous doing on-air math. Over 10% could be coming from the 4 schools that are within like a 2-hour drive of where I sit right now. That's pretty good. But I do think the story will always be kind of where they fit, right? What's the best scenario for them? Where do they end up? The Thunder, I'm going to place as the perfect fit for one of the players that are coming out of the triangle. But first, here's Bobby Marks on how the Thunder are positioned to defend their title.
Sustainable success. And when you look at Oklahoma City moving forward, all 15 players under contract from this year. The hard part is going to have to figure out what do they do with their 2 draft picks, 15 and 24, and can they fit that within their roster? They certainly, the likelihood is going to sign Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams to long-term extensions this offseason. But here's the best part, Hannah. 4 first-round picks in 2026. The rich get richer. This Oklahoma City team is built probably comparable to what we saw with that great Golden State team with Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green.
They have so many picks. So many picks. So many players. They might not even have a roster spot for their guy. They might have to make a 2-for-1 trade, send 2 players out, bring 1 back, just to have a roster spot for a top 10 player if they trade their 15th, 24th, and 44th pick to get up into the top 10. I think it is my fantasy landing spot for Kaman Malawash out of Duke. If they can trade up to like 9 or 10 and Malawash falls just a little bit, I'm seeing a mock to 8 a bunch. If he falls just a little bit, I think that's my ideal landing spot for him for a few reasons. No rush to contribute. He is still raw. He's really good. Don't get me wrong. Really fun to watch this past year at Duke. But he's been playing basketball for like 10 years less, just pure time, than a lot of the guys in this draft. He will learn elite defensive responsibilities, which will become the way he earns his check first. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, Max. The Thunder feel like a college team, don't they?
Kind of.
They feel like some pro teams, and I don't think there's a right or wrong way. Some pro teams feel like after a game or after practice, they go home to their families. Some feel like after a game or after practice, they go play video games against each other. And the Thunder definitely fall on the like, yo, I'm next on the sticks. Like they fall on the are we playing zombies? Like as soon as the game's over, they just feel like a college team. And Malawash, just from, right, because in our job, we consume every bit of media that comes out of any of the ACC teams in the Triangle. Every time Duke put out a behind-the-scenes thing, he was kind of the goofball. He was the one, with the inside jokes with, Con Knippel. Every answer was like, well, I grew up idolizing shooters like Klay Thompson for their defensive and two-way ability. Cooper Flagg is he's buttoned up, right? He's the future number 1 pick. He's like a CEO, right? I'm very confident in my abilities, Coach Shire and I. And then you got to Malawash, and he was having more fun. That seems to fit with the Thunder, and I think that'll be good for his development. And again, I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way. I just think certain ways mesh. I think him going to the Thunder would be awesome. I think Knippel going anywhere where he gets a chance to have the ball in his hands a lot is really good. Which means kind of the worse team, the better. Maybe the Hornets make sense at 4, but LaMelo does have the ball quite a bit. And Cooper Flagg, who cares what his best fit is? He's going to the Mavericks. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That was number 1 on the starting 5. Now we need contestants for the numbers game. Numbers game, the prize is a free hour. You can win 1 free hour of tee time at X Golf. Free hour, you can play a lot of cool stuff at X Golf in 1 hour.
You could easily get 18 holes in a sim in that time.
Easily, you could do like you and a buddy if you're moving quick. You can get done 18. If you play by yourself, you can play a couple iconic courses. Anyway, now Max and I are just planning our next trip to X Golf. If you want to play the numbers game and potentially win 1 free hour of tee time at X Golf, call in right now. Numbers game, we need 2 contestants, 919-860-5326. That's 919-860-5326. Numbers game, coming up next.
Hey folks, Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Loan Pronto. Are you maxed out on credit cards? Maybe struggling with that high interest debt? You can pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Get cash out now without touching your low rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a massive turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Here's the thing. Your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easily low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you get today. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Auto approved credit. NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and I know the hurricane season came to an end. Another year with a loss to Florida in the Eastern Conference Finals, 2 of the last 3. But it's been a great year, and it's going to be a great summer with all that cap room the Hurricanes have. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, from free agency to trades to the draft. We'll have player interviews, special sit-down with Rod Brindamore that he doesn't even know about yet. He'll do it, don't worry. Just stay tuned to the Canes Corner podcast on YouTube. Search Canes Corner and wherever you get your podcast.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. All kinds of beers and thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love. you find.
With curbside pickup and delivery available, you'll always find what you love, only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
See if you're a winner every night. Watch live lottery drawings on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news. That's right. Carolina Pick 3, Carolina Pick 4, and Carolina Cash 5 numbers every night on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news. See if you're a winner before you go off to bed. Get your lottery numbers live every night.
North Carolina Education Lottery.
Only on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Somebody out there. Well, you got to call your cell phone providers because we keep having players drop off, and I feel bad. So basically, we have a open line right now, and we can't be picky. So next caller, you get right up on the line. You get to go right into the numbers game. 919-860-5326. I'll say that more clearly. Kind of stumbled my way through it. 919-860-5326. Call in now. We just had a contestant fall off. We do have one contestant lined up. They just need a competitor. So call in quickly. You'll have a chance to compete on the numbers game. 919-860-5326. And I don't know, do your best to not go running around the walk-in refrigerator at the restaurant, right? Wherever there's bad reception, don't go climbing up any mountains. Because if you do drop off, we can't guarantee your spot. And I feel bad every time, especially when, and sometimes this happens, they call in like minutes later and they're like, I'm back. And it's like, we're already playing for someone else. So we have Sal in Morrisville and Adam in Holly Springs just jumped straight up on the line. Sal in Morrisville against Adam in Holly Springs. They are competing for 1 free hour of tee time at X Golf. That's 1 free hour of tee time at X Golf. Sal in Morrisville, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, we are going to ask a question. Same question to both of you. Max will pick his favorite answer. That person will get to go first. Are you ready?
Yeah, I am.
All right, the question for today is, we talked about this earlier. The New York Times put out a request. They want everybody to fill out a ballot that is their 10 best movies this century. So, what is the best movie since 2000? What is the best movie of this century, essentially, of the last 25 years?
Of the last 25 years. Oh, God. I can't remember how old this movie is. I bet you it's older than 25 years. I wanted to say Tommy Boy, but I think it's older than 25 years. So I'm going to go with The Hangover.
Okay, good. That's a good answer. That's on most top 100 lists of the century. And yes, you were right. Tommy Boy was in the 90s. I'm not sure Chris Farley, rest in peace to the great. I'm not sure he made it to the 2000s. So definitely Tommy Boy in the 90s. But Hangover, good choice. For a long time, it was the highest grossing R-rated comedy. That brings us to Adam in Holly Springs. Adam, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, same question to you in honor of, it's like a social media thing. The New York Times asking everybody, what are your 10 best movies of the 2000s of the 20, the most recent 25 years this century. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time describing this. What is the best movie since 2000?
I mean, I'll keep it in line with what he kind of that same genre, but because it's coming out next month, I'll go with Happy Gilmore.
I
think it's 25 years. I think this year since that movie came out.
All right, I respect it. I do think, and I think Max has given me the eyes. I think the first Happy Gilmore was in the 90s. But either way, hey, the answers are what the answers are. Maybe put Tommy Boy against Happy Gilmore. How about that? Forget rules. We're going all the way back.
Yeah. I love I love Happy Gilmore, but I'm pretty sure that movie's from like 1994. So I'm gonna have to go with Sal on this one.
All right, Sal gets the win in this opening competition. It doesn't really mean anything, just sets up the batting order. So Adam and Holly Springs, stay on the line. You'll have your chance in a minute. Sal, are you ready to pick a category?
I am.
All right, the categories are NFL players with late June birthdays, NFL players born in Washington State, or NBA players that have multiple triple-doubles and are still active players, or, of course, our final category, NHL Hurricanes throughout history.
Let me do June birthdays.
All right, late June birthdays, even more specific than that. I'll give you the team and the player. Give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. 30 seconds on the clock, one pass if you need it. Any questions before we get started?
I'm good.
All right, your time will start when you hear the horn. Michael Vick, Atlanta Falcons.
7.
Correct. Shannon Sharp, Denver Broncos.
84.
Correct. Bradley Chubb, Miami Dolphins.
53.
Incorrect. Darren Sproles, Philadelphia Eagles.
32.
Incorrect. Bradley Chubb, Miami Dolphins.
54.
Incorrect. Darren Sproles, Philadelphia Eagles.
31.
Incorrect. Bradley Chubb, Miami Dolphins.
56.
Incorrect. Darren Sproles, Philadelphia Eagles.
34.
Incorrect. Bradley Chubb, Miami Dolphins.
55.
Incorrect. Darren Sproles, Philadelphia Eagles.
Nah.
You know what? Sometimes, and I'm not saying this to be mean. Sometimes, like, someone will know it's in the 50s, and the actual answer is 57, and I'm just hoping that they get there. You knew that Bradley Chubb was in the 50s. It wasn't. So it was from my perspective, like, oh, come on, change it up. Number 2 is what we were looking for Bradley Chubb. Darren Sproles, you were so certain it was in the 30s. 43. We were looking for 43, but you did get 2. And by the way, for those of you playing at home, Shannon Sharp, I didn't know this. He also wore 81 with the Broncos for a portion of time. So we would have accepted 84 or 81. I think of him as 84. So Sal, you got 2. Stay on the line. We'll see if it holds up. But good luck. That brings us to Adam and Holly Springs. Adam, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right. The categories remaining for you to choose from are NFL players born in Washington State, NBA players that are all about the triple-doubles, active players with at least 2 triple-doubles in their career, or NHL Hurricanes only.
We'll go with the NBA.
Okay. NBA players with at least 2 career triple-doubles, and they have to still be active players. I will give you the team and the player. Give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. 30 seconds on the clock. One pass if you need them. You need at least 3 for the win. Do you have any questions before we get started?
No, sir.
All right. Your time will start when you hear the horn. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Milwaukee Bucks.
34.
Correct. Jalen Johnson, Atlanta Hawks.
11.
Incorrect. Nicholas Batum, Los Angeles Clippers.
5.
Incorrect. Jalen Johnson, Atlanta Hawks.
18.
Incorrect. Nicholas Batum, Los Angeles Clippers.
Pass.
Jimmy Butler, Golden State Warriors.
31.
Incorrect. Jalen Johnson, Atlanta Hawks.
12.
Incorrect. I will say this. Thank you for getting Giannis on the first try, so I didn't have to try to say his last name a billion times. So I do appreciate you for that. Unfortunately, though, you got just Giannis. You missed out on Jalen Johnson, who wears number 1 with the Hawks. Batum with the Clippers, we were looking for 33. And Jimmy Butler with the Warriors, number 10, which feels kind of messed up because I think he's worn every other number for other teams, but with the Warriors, he wore 10. Unfortunately, not enough for the win, but hopefully you had some fun.
Definitely.
All right. Appreciate it. And I am very much appreciative that you got Giannis in one go. That means Sal in Morrisville. Sal, you are the winner. Congrats. Congratulations. You have a free hour on the simulator over there, of course, at X Golf.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Now I can at least go and work on my drive and my swing without sweating at that.
That's this time of year, the simulator comes in clutch. Appreciate it. Good luck and stay on the line so Max can grab your info. Gosh, Antetokounmpo. Wish I could just say Giannis. Everybody knows what his last name is. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I wish I could just say Bailey's, and you would all know what's going on. Because if you did, you'd go to Bailey's Fine Jewelry in the Fox and Bailey Watch Shop. But just in case some of you don't know, I'm Tim Donnelly here for Bailey's Fine Jewelry and the Fox and Bailey Watch Shop. Matter of fact, right, if you knew what was going on, if you knew how cool it was, how the vibe was on point, how the timepiece selection was incredible at the Fox and Bailey Watch Shop located inside Bailey's Fine Jewelry at their Village District location in Raleigh, you'd already be there. You'd already be a frequent visitor. But if you don't, that's why I'm here to educate you, and that's why their Instagram account exists, at Fox and Bailey Watch Shop. Very straightforward. At Fox and Bailey Watch Shop on Instagram, where you can be the first to know of hot new timepieces, whether they're new releases coming from some of the brands that they partner with, talking Blancpain, Norcane, Omega, or something like a new piece of inventory in their pre-owned and vintage Rolex selection, or they have the pre-owned Cartiers as well now, a little display, which I was very pleased to see. You can not just have them show off watches, right? It's not just them saying, haha, look how sweet this is, although there's some of that because it's awesome. But you can also learn the story behind iconic models, what makes them a good investment piece, tips on care, collecting, and like I said, they update you on some of their inventory. They can keep things super luxurious or all the way down to something like I have a G-Shock on my watch today, Mudmaster. You can put it through anything, right? You can do yard work and then wear it to work like I do. It's all at the Fox and Bailey Watch Shop. Bailey's Fine Jewelry, Village District location. To learn more, you can head to baileybox.com or make sure you're following them on Instagram. Fox and Bailey Watch Shop, no spaces, their handle on Instagram. We'll take a break. When we come back, 30 days until training camp. Just 30 for the Carolina Panthers. Our question of the day coming up.
It's Men's Health Month, and WakeMed wants to remind you to exercise. Be physically active for at least 3 hours per week. That's about 30 minutes of exercise per day. And exercise doesn't have to be boring. Walking the dog, playing basketball, riding your bike, or even an impromptu dance party count as physical activity. Oh, and don't forget to include stretching and strength training. Get up, get moving, and while you're at it, schedule a WakeMed primary care appointment at wakemed.org to get started on your journey to a happier and healthier version of you.
A pepperoni pizza for the table. May I suggest trying it with our Pepsi Zero Sugar? It has just the right amount of sweetness to complement all that cheesy, saucy goodness. Simply divine.
Pepsi Zero Sugar? You've really outdone yourself this time.
Pizza deserves Pepsi.
Handy Hugo's has a refreshing deal. 2 1-liter Pepsis for just $3. Quench your thirst at Handy Hugo's today.
Hey girl, haven't seen you downtown lately.
Nope, sticking to our go-to places.
You mean like Sharky's?
Well, we love our Sharkies. Best wings and gumbo on the planet. But we never miss the $5 sangrias on Wednesdays at the new Salt and Lime, and Mexican pints on Thursdays for $3.
You know my boy loves the House of Hops. No better selection of craft beer in the state. Loves their specials, their food trucks, and you know I love my wine. They have a wonderful selection.
And have I told you about our new takeout spot, Che Empanadas? It's right next to Sharky's. They have 20 different types of authentic Argentinian empanadas, and they are incredible, especially the breakfast ones. You gotta try it.
Sounds perfect. And how awesome is it that they're so close to each other?
Yes!
Give them a try. Che Empanadas, House of Hops, Salt and Lime, and Sharky's. Just a hop, skip, and a jump from each other off Duralee Road, Glenwood, and Grove Barton.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Let's give a shout out to our guy Max. He's been filling in, producing the last. What are we looking at now? It's been like a week, something like that.
Yeah, since Tuesday last week, and I'll be back tomorrow too.
Are you back tomorrow? Oh, see,
I think.
Oh, see, I don't know the schedule. I thought you were mosey on out of here. So instead, never mind. I take that back. Let's not say anything nice about Max until he's on the way out. Not on the way out like permanently, just not helping out for the meantime. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. 30 days until training camp. Is that what you think of when someone says it's a month away? Do you think 30 or 31 or 29?
I think 30.
30? All right, then it's a month away. A month until training camp for the Carolina Panthers. We're asking a question each show all the way up until training camp opens up. Today's question is, who is the hidden rookie class gem? Last year, Shaw Smith-Wade was drafted in the 5th round, pick 157. He's in the mix to play a major role this year in the corner slash defensive backs room. Damani Richardson, Jalen Coker, they were undrafted rookie free agents last year. They could start for the Panthers this year, right? With Coker maybe starting in 4 wide receiver sets. And Damani Richardson, I mean, I think that free safety job is wide open. And you know, Dan Morgan and Dave Canales have told us a million times, if you win the job, it's your job. So perhaps that's the way they go. Who's that this year? Now, let me be clear on this first of all. Hopefully, no one. Right? The goal is that you have a established vet, a high draft pick, a incoming free agent, a trade acquisition, that you have somebody you planned to start, and they do start. And then they play well, and they don't get hurt, and you don't have the issue, right? You have the depth to not need to test out a young, proven, undrafted rookie free agent in real minutes, right? You want them to have to prove it in practice for 2 years before you give them a shot. So that's the hope. The reality is in the NBA, it's next man up, in the NFL, it's next man up, next man up, next man up, and oftentimes there's opportunities for guys that you weren't planning on getting opportunities. So who could it be? I set the criteria as 5th round or later. If you're a 3rd round pick, I'm not going like, ooh, Princely Uman Mielen could surprise. It's like he might start like before having to have anyone get hurt ahead of him on the depth chart. So 5th round or later, who you're rolling with. I think the 5th round picks, they had 2 of them, both make a lot of sense. Cam Jackson, defensive tackle out of Florida, 140th pick overall. This might be, and I hate saying this out loud, like those who know ball, the non-casuals out there might notice Cam Jackson in a big way. Everybody might notice him because he's 6'6", 330 pounds, right? You might just notice him like walking down the hall. But being that nose tackle with their 3 down front, the Bobby Brown, who's going to be, he was an incoming guy, going to be likely the starter. Your job a lot of times is to get double teamed and not get bullied by it. Right? Open up things for the linebackers. Make sure that guys like the outside edge rushers can do so one-on-one as often as possible. So Cam Jackson being big and sturdy could be really important. And also, like Derek Brown doesn't come off the field, but Derek Brown doesn't play nose. Derek Brown plays an absurd amount of snaps for someone his size. At least he did pre-injury. But he's technically that outside, that end. Bobby Brown, Shai Tuttle, some of the guys in the middle, they're big enough that they need breathers. And if you have a rookie 5th rounder that you can throw in there, and even if the team goes hurry up and keeps that same personnel on the field, you're comfortable with them on the field, that's huge. So Cam Jackson is someone, while the casuals, I hate saying that, may not notice it because he doesn't play a position where necessarily stats are the goal. He could be a huge impact for them. Next, the tight end, Mitchell Evans. We may already be seeing his opportunity happening. He's 6'5", 260. First of all, let me get out ahead of this because I've seen the comparison made off of drill clips from minicamp. He is not Gronk. Okay? I hate comparisons with a fiery passion. He caught did the high knees over the bags and then caught a pass and ran up the sideline and people were like, looks like a Gronk to me. And I'm going, no. I feel like I'm talking to my dog. No. He might have to play, though. He might have to. Tommy Tremble, back surgery, already not going to be ready at the beginning of training camp. And those are that is one of the types of injuries that could be whoever knows, right? You don't know how those respond all the time. So Tremble, already probably not ready for the beginning of camp. Mitchell Evans may have a couple of reps there. The other tight end, last year's 4th round pick, Jatavian Sanders, the reports are he dropped 10 pounds this offseason. He wants to be quicker. You know what that tells me? He wants to catch passes. He wants to run posts. He wants to run seams. He wants to run option routes. He wants to be Travis Kelce out there doing the shimmy shake. That's what he wants to be. You know what that doesn't sound like? He wants to block. I've never heard someone say, I really need to, dig it out in the run game, need to block better, so I cut a bunch of weight. It's usually the opposite, right? I put on 15 pounds of muscle. So if Mitchell Evans can block, I think he's going to play, at least early. And if he plays, sometimes that's all you need to surprise. Now, his stats in college weren't unbelievable. 43 catches, 420 yards, 3 touchdowns his senior year. But we know this pretty well. He was playing with Riley Leonard as his quarterback at Notre Dame. Riley Leonard's a really good college quarterback. Was a big fan of his when he was at Duke before transferring to Notre Dame. But not the most prolific volume passer, right? He's somebody that kind of runs the offense, runs it with his legs a bunch. He was drafted in the 6th round, so he has some talent, but he's like a tight end is not going to put up career numbers in a Riley Leonard offense. So Mitchell Evans, there's some things there that might already be kind of breaking in his way as far as next man up. If you're looking for a long shot, I'll give you a long shot. Undrafted free agent out of UCF, wide receiver Kobe Hudson. He's not even, if you listen to like the beat reporters, the most heralded or impressive wide receiver thus far. That'd be Jacoby George. Here's my prediction. If it ends up happening for Kobe Hudson, he'll be waived. He'll be put on the practice squad. If there are or is a rash of injuries to the wide receiver room for a couple of weeks, I'm just saying if he gets the opportunity, he has the ability to take care of it. And if you don't believe me, watch his tape at UCF. Or actually, you can go back to 2021. He led Auburn in receiving for a year. Now, he left Auburn in the circumstances, not a lot of details out there. So there may have been disciplinary. There may have been things with the coaches. I don't know. I'm saying I just have no clue. But maybe that's part of the reason why he's not drafted. But go back and watch UCF versus TCU last year. Okay, go watch UCF versus TCU, just one game. The film, great. Every time they throw it to him, something good happens. And that to me is the best compliment I can give a wide receiver, right? When you are targeted, does good things happen? Do good things happen? If that's the case, I'm with it, right? Whether it's you making a great catch, whether it's you're open, whether it's pass interference, whether it's something, right? Something good has to happen. And it seemed like every time he was around the ball, something good happened. And ended with a pretty good stat game in the game as well.
That was a crazy game too. I don't know. I remember watching that game.
$1 billion.
Yeah, no, it was TCU was up 28-7, and UCF ended up storming back and scoring a touchdown with 36 seconds left to win.
And like, they opened it up and threw it to the guy that's big, tall, strong, and fast.
Almost 1,000 yards of total offense combined.
Look at that. And actually, so there's a different reason to watch the game. Bring up the tape. You'll be entertained by it. But just notice what Kobe Hudson does. Now, right now in the depth chart, I looked at it, kind of did my own estimation. He's behind Teteroa McMillan, Xavier Legette, Adam Thielen, David Moore, Jalen Coker, Hunter Renfrow, Jimmy Horn Jr., Dan Chisena, Jacoby George, and maybe a few others on the depth chart. Like, I'm not even saying he's definitely next up. But if the opportunity arises and he happens to wake up on, a day like he had against TCU where the basketball sticking to his hands or the football sticking to his hands, I always say where the hoop. Yeah, I talk about that with shooters. Like some days you wake up and the rim is a hula hoop. Like if he has that day where the football is magnetic to his hands, he could stick around. He could stick around. So if you're looking for a true out of nowhere rookie, a true Damani Richardson, you could go worse with your prediction than Kobe Hudson out of UCF. It's a deeper wide receiver room, so it'll be more difficult for him than Jalen Coker last year, but it's not impossible.
Especially with another late-round rookie receiver pick that a lot of people are also hyped on.
Did you talk about Jimmy Horn?
Yeah.
Yes, they're very different. Jimmy Horn, tiny speed. I don't even think it's funny we group wide receivers together like on a depth chart. Like I put Jimmy Horn above him, but there's a world where like Tet McMillan, Adam Thielen and I don't even know how tall like Jacoby George is, but those guys could get hurt and they go to Kobe Hudson before Jimmy Horn, even though Jimmy Horn is more invested in. He might be returning kicks. He might already be in the rotation.
Because being in the slot and being on the outside are two very different things.
Need someone who's not 160 pounds. It's very much like, forwards now in the NBA. Forwards could mean you're 6'11", 280, or it could mean you are a 3-and-D wing and you're 6'7", 210. That's kind of the way wide receivers are. But just watch out for Kobe Hudson is what I'm saying. Could be. Long shot. You'd get great odds on picking him to be like, a one-time touchdown scorer this year. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9, The Fan, coming to a close. We will not thank Max for what he's done the last week, stepping in and pinch hitting for producing, because could be back tomorrow, and we have another time for that. But thank you to all of you for paying attention, hanging out with us. Please subscribe to our YouTube. I will preemptively thank you for that as well. 99.9 The Fan on YouTube. Search for it, subscribe, like the videos that you like. Just ignore the ones that you don't. Share the ones that you like with your friends.
No, like the ones even if you don't like them.
Yeah, like them all. What are we talking about? Personal favorite time. Just do it. Seriously, we appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow for a Wednesday edition, NBA Draft Day. Until then, have a great night, everybody.
It's Men's Health Month. WakeMed Primary Care wants to remind you to schedule your annual checkup. It's important to know your health numbers related to cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight, and BMI before it leads to chronic diseases. Focus on your health and preventing disease by building healthy habits and getting that yearly checkup and those screenings you've been putting off. To schedule your appointment, visit wakemed.org.
Our state's future begins with our students. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery has contributed over $10 billion to education through scholarships, school construction, support staff,